Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. American Comics. A salted fish, you will become a saint if you hang up. Chapter 81. Thus, Lin Nan began a battle with time. He continued to learn and grow, trying to master the power of the pocket watch, and at the same time, he continued to search for the answers in his heart. He understands that only by facing the past bravely can he have a bright future. Lin Nan and his partner Li Yalin are now in an ancient city, Taj. They are holding an ancient file, which contains precious information about the history of this city. This dossier is crucial to their investigation because it may reveal some secrets hidden deep in time. The streets of Taj are narrow and crowded, and the buildings on both sides are simple and mysterious, as if every stone carries the memory of the past. Lin Nan and Li Yalin shuttled through the streets of the city, looking for clues. "We have to find someone who can interpret this dossier," Lin Nan said, his eyes scanning the surrounding environment, hoping to find a clue. "Yes, but in this city, it is not easy for us to find people like that," Li Yalin added, her eyes searching everywhere. Suddenly, their eyes focused on an old bookstore in the distance. This bookstore looks a little shabby, but the sign hanging at the door reads, "Collection of Ancient Books, Inheritance of History." This seemed to be the place they were looking for. The two walked quickly to the bookstore, opened the door, and were greeted by the smell of old books. The bookstore is filled with all kinds of ancient books and documents, and the walls are covered with ancient maps and photos. When they arrived at the small planet, Lin Nan carefully hid the time controller in a remote corner and covered its traces with interstellar debris. "We should be relatively safe now." The woman breathed a sigh of relief, with a hint of relaxation in her voice. Lin Nan nodded. "Yes, but we cannot relax our vigilance. We must be ready to face enemy attacks at any time." They found a hidden cave on the small planet and decided to rest there temporarily. Lin Nan began to check their weapons and equipment to make sure everything was in top condition. "We should think about the next plan now," the woman said, her brows furrowed, thinking about the next action. Lin Nan pondered for a moment. "Our mission is not completed yet. We must find the enemy's base and destroy their time controller." The woman nodded. "But we must first understand the enemy's movements and strength, otherwise it will be difficult for us to launch an effective attack." Lin Nan agreed with her suggestion. "We have to scout the enemy's base first to see what information we can use." Therefore, Lin Nan and the woman decided to wait on the small planet for a while to observe the enemy's movements. They took turns to stand guard, always alert and guarding against possible dangers. While waiting, they began to exchange stories and experiences with each other. Lin Nan talked about the future world he came from and his experience of being involved in the chaos of time. The woman also shared her story. She was a warrior from a distant galaxy who was sent to prevent the chaos of time from occurring. Their conversation made them understand each other better, and also increased their mutual trust and tacit understanding. After spending a few days on the small planet, Lin Nan and the woman decided to launch a reconnaissance operation. They put on combat uniforms, brought necessary equipment, and prepared to go to the enemy's base. "We must be careful not to let the enemy discover our traces," Lin Nan reminded, his eyes shining with determination. As Lin Nan and the woman penetrated deeper into the enemy's territory, the surrounding environment became more desolate and dangerous. Interstellar fragments are scattered all over the place, as if they are leftover fragments of time, floating around in this area. "It looks very dangerous here." The woman carefully observed her surroundings, her eyes revealing worry about the unknown. Lin Nan held the weapon in his hand tightly and glanced around. "We must be careful not to attract the enemy's attention." The two of them lurked among the interstellar debris, trying to avoid enemy patrols. They are always alert and ready to respond to possible dangers. Suddenly, a group of enemies appeared in their sight. They were wearing black armor, holding advanced weapons, and looked fierce. They seemed to be patrolling this area. "We have to be careful not to be discovered by them," Lin Nan warned in a low voice, keeping his eyes on the enemy's movements. The woman nodded, her hand tightly holding the weapon. "I try to avoid them." The two carefully bypassed the enemies and minimized contact with them. They are always alert and ready for possible battles. Finally, they arrived at the enemy's base. This is a huge space station, like a fortress of huge amounts, solid and majestic. "It seems that this is the enemy's base," the woman whispered, her eyes shining with determination. Lin Nan stared at the space station in the distance, his brows furrowed. We must find the location of the time controller and destroy it. The two began to conduct reconnaissance around the base, looking for the location of the time controller. They sneaked into the base, carefully avoiding enemy patrols, trying to find clues. After some searching, they finally discovered the location of the time controller. It was placed in the central area of the base, surrounded by a thick protective cover, and looked extremely strong. We must find a way to destroy that protective shield, Lin Nan whispered, his eyes shining with challenge. The woman nodded. We have to act as soon as possible to prevent the enemy from discovering us. After some discussion, the two decided to adopt a strategy of decentralized actions. Lin Nan was responsible for attracting the enemy's attention, while the woman quietly approached the time controller, preparing to destroy the protective shield. Lin Nan showed his excellent infiltration skills. Like a dexterous cat, he shuttled lightly inside the base, always avoiding the enemy's attention. At the same time, the woman quietly approached the time controller, her fingers lightly touched the surface of the controller, and her eyes flashed with determination. Suddenly, an electronic screen lit up. The woman was startled, but she immediately calmed down. She quickly operated the controller, trying to crack the password of the protective shield. Hurry up, woman, Lin Nan's voice suddenly came. He was fighting the enemy and needed the woman to destroy the protective shield as soon as possible. Female Lin Nan's fingers moved rapidly on the controller, and small beads of sweat broke out on her forehead. A complex password system was displayed on the screen in front of her. She had to quickly unlock it and destroy the protective shield so that Lin Nan could enter the core component of the time controller and destroy it. Lin Nan gritted her teeth and cursed in a low voice, but the speed of her fingers did not slow down at all. She could feel the enemy's footsteps getting closer and closer, and every second seemed like a race against time. Although the enemy was powerful, they gradually fell into a disadvantage under the joint attack of Lin Nan and the woman. Their attacks became more and more violent, but they also became more and more frantic, gradually losing their reason and judgment. Lin Nan saw the opportunity and suddenly launched a fierce attack, forcing the enemy into a corner. The woman followed closely behind, her weapon glowing brightly, piercing the enemy like a bolt of lightning. In the end, the enemy was unable to withstand the combined attack of the two. He was knocked to the ground, his strength was exhausted, and he could no longer stand up. He looked helplessly at Lin Nan and the woman, his eyes full of despair and hatred. You can't. His voice gradually faded. However, the power of the controller has been exhausted, and after some quarrel. However, just when Lin Nan and the woman were about to destroy the core of the time controller, the controller suddenly made a harsh buzzing sound and then stopped running. An invisible force surged out and blocked their attack. What's going on? The woman shouted in surprise. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Lin Nan frowned, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. It seems that this controller has lost its energy. He took a deep breath and calmly analyzed the situation in front of him. So, what should we do now? The woman asked, with a hint of anxiety in her voice. Lin Nan thought for a moment, and then suddenly remembered something. We must find the energy device and recharge the time controller. The woman nodded. Then let's go find it quickly. The two quickly launched a search inside the spacecraft, hoping to find the energy device as soon as possible in order to restart the time controller. They came to the energy room of the spacecraft, which is where the energy core of the spacecraft is located. Huge amounts of energy devices emit a faint blue light, giving the entire room a mysterious and depressing atmosphere. Look here, Lin Nan pointed to an energy device with a familiar symbol on it. This is the energy device we need. The woman quickly stepped forward and began to operate the energy device. We have to get it installed on the time controller as soon as possible. The two of them worked together to dismantle the energy device, and then quickly headed to the core area of the time controller. They carefully installed the energy device on the time controller, and then began the recharging process. However, just as they were charging, a figure suddenly appeared behind them. They turned around and saw a man wearing black armor standing there, holding an energy sword shining with cold light in his hand. What are you doing? The man's voice was cold and majestic, full of hostility and warning. Lin Nan and the woman looked at each other, knowing that this person was here to stop them. We want to destroy the time controller and prevent you from continuing to control the timeline. Lin Nan said without hesitation. A trace of anger flashed in the man's eyes. You don't deserve the power of time. He raised his energy sword and prepared to attack Lin Nan and the woman. Lin Nan and the woman were also ready. They stood there, ready to meet the enemy's challenge. The battle is about to break out. The collision of energy swords and weapons echoes in the room, and every attack carries unparalleled power. Lin Nan's skills are strong, his moves are sharp and precise, and every blow carries unparalleled power. The woman is nimble and agile, and her attacks follow her, swift and deadly. The man showed powerful fighting skills. His attack was like a violent storm, making it difficult for Lin Nan and the woman to resist. In the fierce battle, time seemed to have frozen. The three people were constantly moving in the room, and every attack carried the pressure of life and death. However, just as the battle was heating up, a harsh sound suddenly came from the energy device. Lin Nan and the woman turned around and saw that the energy device was filled with powerful energy and the time controller had been restarted. We succeeded, the woman cried with joy, her voice full of joy and relief. Lin Nan also breathed a sigh of relief, with a smile on his face. Let's get out of here quickly, he said loudly. He knew that time waits for no one and he must leave the crashing spacecraft as soon as possible. They quickly rushed out of the spacecraft and came to the outer space. The spacecraft began to shake violently and seemed to crash at any time. We must leave as soon as possible, the woman shouted, her voice full of anxiety and tension. Lin Nan nodded, and they quickly drove the rescue capsule and left the spacecraft. Not far away from the spacecraft, a loud noise came and the entire spacecraft exploded into a huge amount of fireball. They watched the spacecraft turn into ashes, and felt an inexplicable emotion in their hearts. Although in the deep space leaving the spacecraft, Lin Nan and the woman breathed a sigh of relief, but they knew that this was only temporary safety and their mission was not completed yet. We have to find a place to hide. We can't let the enemy find us, Lin Nan reminded, his eyes flashing with vigilance. The woman nodded, I know a place that should be relatively safe. They drove the rescue capsule and flew to the location mentioned by the woman. This is a small planet obscured by interstellar debris. It is little known and is an excellent hiding place. Hello, we are looking for an expert who can interpret ancient documents. Can you help us? Lin Nan asked politely. An old man who looked old came over, his eyes revealed a kind of wisdom and vicissitudes of life. Dossier, let me see it. The old man took the dossier and carefully studied the words and patterns on it. Lin Nan and Li Yalin waited nervously for the old man's answer, knowing that this file might contain countless valuable information. This is a very precious piece of information, the old man finally said, his voice low and powerful. Kamatage has a long and mysterious history. This file may be able to help you uncover some mysteries. Lin Nan and Li Yalin breathed a sigh of relief. They finally found an expert who could interpret the dossier. However, the contents of this file are not easy to interpret, the old man continued, his eyes fixed on the file. I need some time to study it. No problem, we can wait, Li Yalin said, with a hint of expectation in her voice. So Lin Nan and Li Yalin waited in the bookstore for several hours. During this period, the old man marked the files from time to time and thought about the meaning. Finally, the old man returned the file to them and gave some explanations and suggestions about the contents of the file. Thank you for your help, Lin Nan and Li Yalin expressed their gratitude to the old man, and then continued their investigative journey with expectations for the future. Are you new here? A leader of the resistance organization looked up at them, his eyes full of curiosity and vigilance. Yes, we come from the past and are looking for the core of the time controller, Lin Nan replied, with a firm light shining in his eyes. The leader nodded, we know the existence of the time controller and its importance. Do you want to go back to the past and repair the timeline? Yes, the woman added, we must find the core and stop the chaos of time from continuing. The leader thought for a while and then said, we can help you, but you also need to help us. The enemies on the spacecraft are hunting for the time controller, and we must stop them. Lin Nan and the woman looked at each other. They knew that this was a dangerous mission, but it was also their only chance. We are willing to help you, Lin Nan said firmly, feeling an unprecedented sense of mission. The leader nodded, very good. We need you to sneak into the enemy's spaceship, find and destroy their control center. Only in this way can we prevent them from continuing to destroy the timeline. Lin Nan and the woman accepted the task. They knew that this was a difficult and dangerous task, but it was also their only hope. With the help of the resistance organization, they were equipped with the most advanced weapons and equipment and prepared to head to the enemy's spaceship. They knew that this would be a life and death struggle, but they had no reason to back down. As night fell, Lin Nan and the woman quietly approached the enemy's spacecraft under the cover of the resistance organization. The spaceship was suspended over the city, emitting an icy light, as if a giant beast was spying on its prey. We must proceed with caution, Lin Nan whispered, feeling a little nervous and pressured. The woman nodded. We must find the control center and destroy it. The two of them were silent. Caret. Caret. This satellite will soon collide with a planet and be destroyed. On the spaceship, Lin Nan and the woman shuttled through the corridors, carefully avoiding patrolling enemies. Their hearts beat faster, and tension filled the air. We have to find the control center quickly, time is running out. The woman whispered, her eyes scanning the surroundings, vigilantly guarding against possible dangers. I know we must act as soon as possible. Lin Nan is also full of a sense of urgency. They know that time is the key to life and death. They finally arrived at the central area of the spacecraft, where the enemy's control center was located. A thick protective door stood in front of them, which seemed to be their only way to the control center. We must open this door, Lin Nan said, his eyes flashing with determination. The woman nodded. I'll give it a try. She quickly took out her tools and started to pick the door lock. The alarm on the door began to make a noisy sound, warning the surrounding enemies. We have no time, we must act as soon as possible, Lin Nan said anxiously, knowing that once discovered, the consequences would be disastrous. The woman concentrated on operating the tool. Finally, the door lock made a soft sound and the door slowly opened. They quickly broke into the control center, which was filled with various high-tech equipment and computer hosts. A huge amount of projection screen shows the changes in the timeline, and it seems that the enemy is controlling the direction of the entire timeline. We must destroy these devices, Lin Nan said loudly, his eyes flashing with determination to fight. The woman nodded, pulled out her weapon, and began to destroy the equipment in the control center. Their movements were quick and orderly, and each attack accurately hit the enemy's vital points. However, just when they were about to complete their mission, a sudden strong vibration came and the entire spacecraft began to shake. They realized that the spacecraft had begun to land and the time for collision with the planet was not far away. We have to get out of here quickly, the woman shouted, feeling the crisis approaching. Lin Nan nodded, and they quickly ran towards the exit of the spacecraft. But just as they were about to escape from the spacecraft, a group of enemies stood in front of them. We have found the time controller, you can't let us leave, Lin Nan said loudly, his voice full of determination. The enemies looked at them indifferently, their eyes full of hostility and murderous intent. We can't let you ruin our plan, an enemy said coldly. They raised their weapons and prepared for the final duel against Lin Nan and the woman. Lin Nan and the woman did not flinch. They drew their weapons and prepared to fight the enemy to the death. The battle is about to break out, powerful energy is intertwined between them, and every attack brings huge amounts of threats. Lin Nan's skills are strong, his moves are sharp and precise, and every blow carries unparalleled power. The woman is nimble and agile, and her attacks follow the enemy like a shadow, swift and deadly. They fought fiercely with the enemy, and every confrontation was a test of life and death. But they only have one belief in their hearts, which is to protect the stability of the timeline and protect the peace and tranquility of the entire world. In a desperate battle, Lin Nan and the woman finally defeated the enemy, but they also paid a huge amount of price. The spacecraft has begun to crash, and their time is running out. We have to get out of here quickly, the woman shouted, her voice full of anxiety and tension. Look, this is what we are looking for, Li Yalin said excitedly, pointing to the mark on the map. We have to go to these locations one by one, maybe we can find some clues, Lin Nan said, his eyes shining with determination. As a result, Lin Nan and Li Yalin embarked on a new investigative journey. They went to the locations where doomsday events occurred, looking for secrets hidden deep in history. The first destination is an abandoned city. It was once a bustling city, but after a catastrophic event, the entire city turned into ruins. There is an atmosphere of deathly silence and desolation permeating the ruins, and every building seems to be telling the story of its past glory and vicissitudes. What happened here? Li Yalin stared around, her heart full of questions. This city was once a technologically advanced center, but after a catastrophic nuclear explosion, the entire city was destroyed, Lin Nan explained, with a hint of sadness in his voice. They searched for clues in the ruins, hoping to find some truth about the disaster. After some hard work, they finally found some ancient documents and records, recording various events and stories that happened that year. Then, they went to the depths of a desert, which was once an oasis, but after a large-scale climate change, the entire area became a barren land. In this desert, they discovered some ancient relics and fossils, recording the life and civilization at that time. After a period of investigation, Lin Nan and Li Yalin gradually learned that these doomsday events did not happen by chance, but were caused by human greed and ignorance. They know that only by understanding history can mankind avoid repeating the same mistakes and move towards a better future. Lin Nan looked around, and his intuition told him that there were some important clues hidden here. They decided to enter the warehouse and search carefully. As soon as they entered the warehouse, they felt an old smell, dust filled the air, and the dim lights could not illuminate the dark space. "We have to be careful," the Ancient One Mage's voice was low and powerful, and he reminded everyone to stay vigilant. The team members spread out and began to search every corner of the warehouse. They carefully observed every trace, hoping to find some useful clues. Suddenly, a team member discovered a door hidden in the corner. The lock on the door has been opened, and it seems that someone has been in and out. "This may be the place we are looking for." Lin Nan's voice was filled with excitement, and he immediately walked towards the door. They carefully opened the door and found a dim passage. "The passage stretches into the distance, and I don't know where it leads." "We have to be careful," Li Yalin reminded, her eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. The Ancient One Mage nodded, his eyes revealing a mysterious light. They decided to go forward together and explore this mysterious passage. They walked forward in the dim passage, feeling the cold atmosphere coming from all around. Time seemed to become blurred in this darkness, and they didn't know how long they had been walking. "We need some information," Lin Nan said, hoping to get some clues from here. The waiter's mechanical eyes flickered. "What information do you need?" "We want to know about the situation here, especially about time travel and time controllers," the woman said, hoping to find some clues. The waiter was silent for a while, and then said, "For information about time travel and time controllers, please go to the underground database to inquire." Underground database. Lin Nan and the woman looked at each other, and they decided to go to that place, which might solve their doubts. They left the cafe and headed to the underground database along the route indicated by the waiter. On the way, they met many people of all kinds, some wearing strange clothes, and some carrying various high-tech equipment, as if the whole city was full of the shadow of future technology. Finally, they found the entrance to the underground database. There was a guard at the entrance, who immediately became alert when he saw their arrival. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" the guard asked coldly. "We were transported here from the past, hoping to learn information about time travel and time controllers," Lin Nan said frankly, hoping that the guards could understand their intentions. The guard frowned, but seeing their sincere eyes, he still moved out of the way. "You can go in, but don't stay in there for too long." Lin Nan and the woman walked into the underground database, and they were amazed by the environment inside. Huge amounts of data screens flashed with countless information, as if the entire world's knowledge was gathered here. They walked to a data terminal and entered the keywords, time travel, and time controller. In an instant, countless data streams emerged, and detailed information about these keywords was displayed on the screen. It turns out that the time controller is a highly advanced technological product that can travel through time and change history. Lin Nan thought with a gleam in his eyes. The woman was reading another message attentively. "In 2077, the technology of time controllers has been greatly developed, but it has also caused a lot of time chaos and battles. We must find the core of the time controller in order to return to our time and repair everything," Lin Nan said, feeling a glimmer of hope. Just as they were studying the data, a sudden strong vibration came, and the entire underground database began to shake violently. What happened? The woman asked in surprise. We have to get out of here. Lin Nan took the woman's hand and ran outside quickly. As soon as they escaped from the underground database, a dazzling light suddenly fell from the sky, and the blast of air knocked them to the ground. What is this? Lin Nan struggled to stand up, and the sight in front of him shocked him. There is a huge amount of spaceship floating in the sky, emitting a cold light, seeming to be looking for something. These are enemies from the future, and they are looking for a time controller. The woman whispered, feeling huge amounts of pressure. We can't let them succeed. Lin Nan clenched his fists, knowing that they must stop these future enemies, otherwise the entire timeline will be completely subverted. The two of them hid in an abandoned building and observed the movement of the spacecraft. The enemies on the spaceship seemed to be scanning the entire city, looking for traces of the time controller. We need to find a safe place and think about what to do next. Lin Nan said, feeling that the future world is full of unknowns and dangers. The woman nodded. Let's go find a place and learn about the situation here. They decided to go to a rumored safe haven, which was a secret base of some resistance groups. The shelter is located on the edge of the city, surrounded by heavy defense facilities and secret passages. After some twists and turns, they finally found the entrance to the shelter. There were 2 guards at the entrance. When they saw their arrival, they immediately became alert. Who are you? What are you doing here? The guard asked coldly. We were transported here from the past, hoping to find information about time travel and time controllers. Lin Nan said frankly, hoping that the guards could understand their intentions. The guard frowned, but seeing their sincere eyes, he still moved out of the way. You can go in, but don't stay in there for too long. The interior of the shelter is simple but practical. The walls are covered with various maps and tactical charts, and several members of the resistance organization are discussing something. Lin Nan and the woman approached them, hoping to get some help. Finally, they found the commander's figure in a hidden corner. He was wearing a silver armor, holding a long sword that shone with cold light in his hand, and was directing his soldiers to attack. That's him, Lin Nan whispered, with fighting spirit flashing in his eyes. We must win with one strike. The man in golden armor added, raising his weapon in preparation for a surprise attack. The woman nodded. Let's go together and we must defeat him. The 3 of them quietly approached the commander and took advantage of the opportunity of time stopping to occupy a favorable position. They took a deep breath and prepared to attack the moment time resumed its flow. Lin Nan counted down the time silently, 3, 2, 1. Time resumed its flow in an instant, and everything around him started to move again. Before the commander could react, Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor had already launched a fierce attack. Lin Nan waved the weapon in his hand and rushed towards the commander first. His attack was swift and fierce, directly attacking the commander's vital points. The commander was caught off guard and had to defend himself in a panic. The woman carried out auxiliary attacks from the side. Her moves were strange and fast, making the commander tired of dealing with them. The man in golden armor made a surprise attack from behind, and each of his blows was filled with powerful force, causing huge amounts of pressure on the commander. The commander was in an unprecedented dilemma, his eyes flashing with anger and panic. He waved his sword and tried to fight back, but under the combined attack of the 3 people, he seemed powerless. Do you think you can defeat me like this? The commander roared, his voice full of unwillingness and anger. We won't let you destroy this city. Lin Nan shouted, his eyes flashing with firm determination. The woman and the man in golden armor did not flinch. They went all out and vowed to defeat the commander. The battle became more intense, with swords, lights, and shadows intertwining, energy fluctuations exploding in the air, and the entire battlefield shrouded in chaos. Finally, the commander exposed his flaw under the fierce attack of the 3 men. Lin Nan seized the opportunity, waved the weapon in his hand, and hit the commander directly in the chest. The commander was caught off guard and was hit by the blow, letting out a painful scream. We succeeded, the woman shouted happily, her voice full of excitement and joy. The figure of the commander gradually disappeared, and the time soldiers also lost their organization and collapsed one after another. The pressure on the battlefield suddenly eased, and Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor finally breathed a sigh of relief. We won. Lin Nan breathed a long sigh of relief, feeling an unprecedented sense of relief and relief. The woman nodded, her eyes sparkling, but this is just the beginning, we still need to face more challenges. The man in golden armor also pondered, we must continue to move forward and find the real solution to the chaos of time. The three of them stood on the battlefield and looked into the distance. They knew that the road ahead was still full of unknowns and challenges. But they are determined to face it together and protect the peace and stability of the world. With the battle over, Karma Taj regained her composure. Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor stood side by side, ready to face every challenge in the future. Male and female Lin Nan were simultaneously transported to the 2077 Satellite 1, one of the Doomsdays. After the battle with Karma Taj, both Lin Nan and the woman thought that everything was over for the time being. However, before they could take a breath, a strong light suddenly enveloped the two of them. The light was so dazzling that it was impossible to open their eyes. They felt that their bodies seemed to be pulled by a mysterious force, and then they lost consciousness. When they opened their eyes again, the scene in front of them completely changed. They were standing in a strange place, and the surrounding environment was full of a sense of technology and the future. Towering buildings flash with cold-toned neon lights, and huge amounts of screens float in the sky, playing unknown advertisements and information. Where is this? Lin Nan rubbed his temples and felt dizzy. The woman looked around, her eyes flashing with surprise and vigilance. This looks like somewhere in the future, but which year specifically is it? Just when they were puzzled, a mechanical voice sounded in their ears, welcome to the 2077 satellite number 1. 2077. We were transported to the future. Lin Nan exclaimed, filled with shock and confusion. The woman calmly analyzed, this must be related to the time controller. We must find the answer and figure out why we are here. The two walked forward along the street, surrounded by a strange and indifferent high-tech world. Pedestrians walked expressionlessly, as if controlled by some kind of force. Every building they passed gave off a depressing atmosphere that made people feel suffocated. We need to find a safe place and think about what to do next. Lin Nan said, feeling that the future world is full of unknowns and dangers. The woman nodded, let's go find a place and learn about the situation here. They walked into a seemingly ordinary cafe, but the decoration style inside was full of futuristic feeling. The automatic ordering system, suspended seats, everything made them feel strange and novel. Hello, what do you need? A mechanical waiter came over with a cold and mechanical voice. Suddenly, they heard a low cough from the front, as if someone was there. Someone is there, Lin Nan shouted loudly, and they quickened their pace and walked forward. Walking out of the passage, they came to a spacious underground space. There are various items placed in the space, which is obviously some kind of storage room. And deep in the room, there was a figure lying on the ground, coughing non-stop. Lin Nan and Li Yalin walked forward and found that the figure was one of the suspects in the case. His body looked very weak. What's wrong with you? Li Yalin's voice was full of concern. She squatted down and tried to help the man. The man raised his head, revealing a pale face, his eyes full of fear and despair. He was mumbling to himself, as if he was saying some incomprehensible words. He seems to have been severely frightened. The Ancient One Mage's voice was low and calm, and he stared at the person in front of him. On the way to bring the suspect back to the investigation base, the team decided to separate. Harder, a member of the team, made a request. He asked himself to act with Lin Nan, because he felt it was necessary to personally supervise this cunning suspect. I think we should act separately. Harder's voice was calm and firm, and he looked directly at Lin Nan. Lin Nan nodded. He understood Harder's worries. This suspect is obviously very cunning and needs to be treated with special caution. Okay, let's act together, Lin Nan replied equally firmly, his heart full of determination and confidence. Therefore, Lin Nan and Harder formed a team and were responsible for supervising and escorting the suspects. Other team members are responsible for patrolling the surrounding area to ensure safety. On the way back, the suspect remained silent, with a cunning light in his eyes. His behavior was unsettling, as if he might do something unexpected at any moment. Why are you hiding in an abandoned warehouse? Harder tried to communicate with the suspect, hoping to get some clues from him. The suspect was silent for a while, and then slowly said, I just want to escape from some things and escape from the memories of the past. Hader frowned. He could feel a hint of secrecy and uncertainty in the suspect's words. He knew that this person was not going to reveal his secret easily, so he decided to ask from another angle. Do you know why we are looking for you? Hader's voice became serious, and he tried to create a pressure to force the suspect to tell the truth. The suspect's eyes flickered, as if he was thinking about how to answer this question. Finally, he sighed and whispered, I know everything won't be that simple. When Hard heard this, he felt an ominous premonition in his heart. He knew that the situation before them might be much more complicated than they imagined, and they must deal with it carefully to avoid falling into greater danger. Lin Nan and the woman stopped and looked at the man in golden armor. They didn't know who the man was, but his appearance gave them a glimmer of hope. Perhaps he is the key figure who can solve all these mysteries. Three people confront each other on the streets of Kamal Taj. At this time, a new wave of time soldiers arrived, and the opponent had a large number of people. Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor stood on the street, facing the sudden appearance of a new wave of time soldiers. Their numbers were large and their momentum was fierce, as if they were going to completely suppress the three of them. Our numbers are smaller than theirs, but we can't retreat. The man in golden armor stood up straight, his voice revealing determination and courage. Lin Nan and the woman also held the weapons in their hands tightly, preparing to start a fierce battle with the time soldiers. The time soldiers divided into several teams and quickly surrounded the three people. They were holding various weapons, their eyes were cold and ruthless, and they seemed to have no fear of the enemies in front of them. We can't let them destroy this city. There was a hint of anger and determination in the woman's voice. Lin Nan nodded. He was also determined to protect the city and its residents. We must fight to the end. The three of them are determined to face the attack of the time soldiers. The atmosphere on the battlefield instantly became tense, and a life and death struggle was about to begin. The time soldiers launched an attack, and powerful energy fluctuations swept through, solidifying the surrounding air. Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor faced this fierce attack. They fought hard and refused to give in. The battle became more and more fierce, with swords, lights, and shadows intertwining, energy fluctuations bursting in the air, and dust flying on the streets. The three of them shuttled around the battlefield, sometimes attacking and sometimes defending, trying their best to deal with the attacks of the time soldiers. The woman is agile, like a nimble cheetah, sometimes dodging and sometimes counter-attacking, forcing the time soldiers into trouble. Her attacks are sharp and ruthless, leaving her opponent unable to fight back. The man in golden armor relied on his solid defense and powerful attack power to repel waves of time soldiers. His armor shimmered with dazzling light, demonstrating his majesty and strength. Lin Nan responded to the enemy's attacks with flexible and changeable moves. Every move he made was full of power and speed, catching the time soldiers off guard. As the battle raged on, the battlefield on the streets turned into a sea of chaos. Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor fought bravely, fearing no danger and trying to repel all the time soldiers. However, there were a large number of time soldiers, and they continued to attack in turns, trying to consume the strength and endurance of the three people. There are too many of them. The woman shouted, feeling signs of gradual exhaustion in her body. Lin Nan also felt exhausted, but he knew he couldn't back down now. We must persist, he insisted through gritted teeth. The man in golden armor had a firm gaze, and he raised the weapon in his hand, preparing for the final charge. We can't let them succeed, he said, his voice full of determination. The three regrouped and prepared for the final onslaught of the time soldiers. They knew that only by fighting to the last moment could they defend the city and its residents. In order to avoid the attack, Lin Nan pressed the button of the time controller at the critical moment. As time passed, the soldiers' onslaught became more fierce, and Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor were forced into a desperate situation. Their physical strength and endurance have reached their limit, and they are about to be suppressed by the enemy. At this critical moment, Lin Nan came up with a plan. He quickly took out the time controller from his waist and pressed the button. In an instant, time seemed to have stopped. Everything around him stopped. The attacks of the time soldiers stopped in midair, the dust was frozen in the sky, and the entire battlefield instantly fell into a state of stillness. Lin Nan, the woman and the man in golden armor felt a powerful energy emanating from the time controller, and they got a moment of respite. What is this? The woman asked in surprise. She had never seen such a magical device. This is a time controller that can temporarily freeze time. Lin Nan explained, with sweat on his forehead, but the effect is limited, we must seize the time. The man in golden armor nodded, we need to use this time to formulate a plan and find a way out of the predicament. The three people quickly gathered together to discuss countermeasures. They know that the effectiveness of the time controller is limited, and a solution must be found before time can resume flowing. We need a breakthrough. The woman analyzed calmly, there are so many soldiers at these times that we cannot confront them head-on. Yes, Lin Nan agreed, we must find their commander. As long as he is defeated, the other soldiers will lose their organization. The man in golden armor looked at the time controller, his eyes full of determination, we are going to find the commander's location and launch a surprise attack. The three people quickly decided on an action plan. They used the opportunity of time to stop and shuttle across the battlefield to find the commander of the time soldiers. Although there are many time soldiers, without a commander, their actions seem a bit chaotic. However, the soldiers were not willing to fail. They gathered all their strength and began to fight back with all their strength. Swords clashed, sparks flew, and the atmosphere on the battlefield became extremely tense. Just when the fierce battle was heating up, a dazzling light suddenly shot from a distance, attracting the attention of the soldiers. They looked up and saw a huge army approaching quickly. Reinforcement has arrived, some soldiers shouted. They breathed a sigh of relief and thought victory was imminent. However, at this moment, the woman suddenly showed even more terrifying strength. The black energy emanating from her body became stronger and stronger, as if it wanted to swallow everything. Do you think you can defeat me? The woman's voice was cold and mocking, you are too naive. She waved her fists and released powerful energy fluctuations, knocking all the soldiers back. The soldiers retreated in horror, filled with fear and despair. What should we do? A soldier asked tremblingly. We can only fight to the end. Another soldier gritted his teeth and said firmly, we cannot let this woman do whatever she wants. The soldiers regrouped and prepared for the final battle with the woman. They know that this will be a life and death struggle, but they are determined to defend their homeland and honor. The woman stared at the soldiers coldly, her eyes shining with determination. Let's see who is the real master of this city, she said, and then launched the final charge. On the other side, Lin Nan, who followed her back to Kamatage, also fought with her. Lin Nan followed the woman to Kamatage, but was accidentally involved in a fierce battle. He didn't know the woman's true purpose, but he knew he had to stop her actions and protect the city and its residents. He stood opposite the woman, holding his weapon tightly in both hands, his eyes flashing with vigilance and determination. This woman is powerful and mysterious, and he must deal with it carefully. Why did you come here? Lin Nan asked, his voice calm and firm. The woman sneered, I have my purpose, you don't need to know. Lin Nan frowned, he knew that the woman was definitely not a good person. No matter what your purpose is, I can't let you continue to destroy this place. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Nan quickly waved the weapon in his hand and launched an attack. His moves were sharp and cruel, and every blow was full of lethality, trying to force the woman to retreat. The woman did not show weakness. She dodged Lin Nan's attack with agility and counterattacked with lightning speed. Her moves were strange and sinister, making it difficult for Lin Nan to deal with them. The battle unfolded on the streets of Kamatage, and the two figures were intertwined, as if two irreconcilable forces were fighting fiercely. Passers-by gave way and watched the sudden battle in horror. You don't know what you are doing, Lin Nan yelled. He didn't understand why the woman wanted to destroy the peace of the city. The woman sneered, what do you know? You don't understand this world at all. The conversation between the two was accompanied by the sound of punches hitting the flesh, and the fighting on the battlefield became more and more intense. Lin Nan's whole body was covered with sweat. He felt the exhaustion of his physical strength, but he still did not flinch and kept fighting. Suddenly, a strange light flashed in the woman's eyes. She stopped attacking and stared at Lin Nan. Her voice was trembling. Lin Nan looked at her warily, wondering why she stopped suddenly. The look in your eyes, the woman whispered, why is that like this? Lin Nan was stunned for a moment, and then realized that the woman seemed to have seen something. Is there something wrong with my eyes? He asked. The woman didn't answer. Her expression became complicated, as if she was struggling with something in her heart. At this moment, a dazzling light suddenly shot from the sky, attracting their attention. They looked up and saw a vortex of huge amounts forming in the sky, emitting mysterious energy fluctuations. What is this? The woman's voice was filled with panic. Lin Nan's eyes were deep, and he felt a powerful energy coming from the vortex, as if some powerful existence was about to arrive. We have to get out of here, he said urgently, realizing that the situation had become very dangerous. The woman nodded, feeling unprecedented pressure. The two immediately put aside their previous hostility and fled together away from the whirlpool. They rushed through the streets of Kamatage, their hearts filled with anxiety and uneasiness. What does the emergence of a vortex mean? Who is controlling it? As they fled, the energy fluctuations of the vortex became more and more intense, and the entire city was sucked into it. Lin Nan and the woman ran hard, trying to avoid this powerful force. However, just when the whirlpool was about to swallow everything, a figure suddenly descended from the sky and blocked the space between the whirlpool and the city. It was a man wearing golden armor, and his brow exuded a sense of majesty and strength. Stop. The golden armored man's voice was loud and firm. You can't continue to destroy this world. Lin Nan watched quietly from the side, with a trace of vigilance in his eyes. He knows that the suspect's secret may be related to the progress of the entire investigation. They must find the answer as soon as possible and unravel the truth of the mystery. The Ancient One Mage was silent for a while. He knew that facing the situation in front of him, he didn't have much choice. He finally nodded and agreed to Harder's request. Okay, we will act together, but we must remain vigilant. The Ancient One Mage's voice was low and calm, and his eyes scanned the surroundings, vigilantly observing possible dangers. Harder breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the Ancient One Mage's agreement meant that they received more support and protection. So, they continued to move towards the investigation base, always keeping vigilant and prepared for possible unexpected situations. As they walked, the suspect's expression became increasingly anxious. His eyes scanned the surrounding environment from time to time, as if looking for opportunities to escape. What are you thinking about? Lin Nan's voice was cold and stern, and he stared at the suspect sharply. The suspect lowered his head, his expression becoming more cunning and sinister. He seemed to be thinking about countermeasures and trying to find some opportunities to escape. We already know your identity. Harder's voice was cold and powerful. He tried to suppress the suspect's resistance and let him understand that running away was useless. The suspect was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly burst out with a violent momentum. He broke free from the handcuffs and rushed towards Lin Nan and Hader, roaring like a beast. Lin Nan and Harder reacted immediately. They quickly dodged and launched a counterattack at the same time. A fierce fight unfolded in the dark space of the basement, and the suspect showed amazing skills and strength that were unbelievable. Lin Nan and Hader cooperated tacitly. They assisted each other and tried to subdue the suspect. The Ancient One Mage also joined the battle. He was agile and used extraordinary abilities to provide powerful support to his teammates. The fierce fight lasted for a while, and finally, Lin Nan and Harder teamed up to subdue the suspect and handcuff him again. You can't escape. Lin Nan's voice was full of firmness and determination. He had already seen through the suspect's conspiracy and plan. The team continued to move forward, leading the suspect in the direction of the investigation base. Although they encountered an unexpected fierce battle, they did not give up. On the contrary, they became more determined to solve the mystery. In a corner of the warehouse, Lin Nan suddenly discovered a thin citizen, huddled in the corner, exuding an indescribable strange aura. The citizen looked very weak, with confusion in his eyes. What's wrong with you? Lin Nan stepped forward, his voice full of concern and sympathy. He wanted to find out the situation of this citizen. The citizen raised his head, his eyes showing a look of helplessness and fear. His body was trembling, as if he was trying to resist something. I don't know what happened. The citizen's voice trembled, his words full of confusion and panic. Lin Nan and the man in red armor were deeply frustrated. They thought everything would get back on track, but found that they had just opened a bigger Pandora's box. The chaos of time and space is becoming more and more intense, various timelines are intertwined, and the stability of the universe is seriously threatened. We failed. Lin Nan sighed helplessly, feeling powerless. The man in red armor also fell into deep thought. We must find a solution, otherwise everything will be destroyed. They began to look for other timelines, trying to find potential allies or solutions. They traveled between various timelines and experienced countless adventures and challenges, but they never found a solution to the problem. In an ancient timeline, they encounter a mysterious wise man who possesses wisdom that transcends time and space and may be the key to solving this crisis. You came to me for something, right? The wise man stared at Lin Nan and the man in red armor, his voice loud and mysterious. Lin Nan and the man in red armor explained their situation to the wise man, hoping to get her help. We need to find a way to solve this chaotic problem of space and time. The wise man pondered silently for a moment, and then slowly spoke. Your problem is not just a problem of the timeline, but a problem of the entire universe. The existence of the guardians of time and space is to maintain the balance of the universe. Your actions have led to the chaos of time and space must find a way to balance it. After Lin Nan and the man in red armor heard this, their hearts moved, as if they saw a glimmer of hope. What should we do? They asked eagerly. The wise man smiled slightly, and then said, you must find a balance point in the vortex of time and space and find a solution that can stabilize the universe. But this is not easy, and you must pay huge amounts of price. Lin Nan and the man in red armor decided to accept the challenge, although they knew it would be a difficult journey. They began to shuttle between various timelines, looking for a balance point, and trying to repair the destroyed order of time and space. However, they discovered that the balance point is not easy to find. Each timeline has its own characteristics and problems, and huge amounts of price need to be paid to find the balance point. In one timeline, they faced huge amounts of disaster, and in order to save life in this timeline, they had to give up part of their power. In another timeline, they encountered a powerful enemy and had to engage in a life-and-death struggle to protect the stability of the timeline. After countless challenges and tests, Lin Nan and the man in red armor finally found the balance point and guided the power of the guardian of time and space into the balance of the universe. The chaos of time and space gradually subsided, and everything returned to calm. We succeeded. Lin Nan breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that the burden on his shoulders was finally lifted. The man in red armor also smiled. Yes, we finally found a solution to the problem. They know that the balance of time and space is not eternal, and they need to be vigilant at all times to avoid falling into chaos again. They are determined to continue to act as the guardians of the universe and protect the stability and tranquility of every timeline. Since then, Lin Nan and the man in red armor have become legends in the universe. Their stories have been told endlessly, and they have become the guardians of time and space. Their adventure stories will forever be passed down among the stars in the universe, setting a glorious example for future generations. She collided head-on with the soldiers in Kamataj and started a fight. In front of the majestic city walls of Kamal Taj, a team of soldiers stands majestically. Wearing gorgeous armor and holding sharp blades, they guard the safety of this mysterious place. Suddenly, a figure flashed quickly and quietly approached the city wall. It was a woman wearing a black tights, with sharp eyes like an eagle, full of challenge and fighting spirit. The soldiers raised their weapons vigilantly, preparing to face the sudden appearance of the enemy. The woman was not afraid. She took firm steps and walked straight to the city wall. Stop! A soldier shouted, this is Kamataj, you can't cross the line. The woman stopped, a hint of indifference flashed in her eyes. I don't need your permission. As soon as she finished speaking, the woman quickly waved her fists, releasing sharp punches and launched an attack on the soldiers. The soldiers responded immediately, waving their weapons in an attempt to fend off the woman's attack. Swords and swords clashed with each other, and the battlefield suddenly became chaotic and fierce. The woman was agile. Like a vigorous cheetah, she easily dodged the soldiers' attacks and at the same time responded with fast and sharp punches and kicks. Every move she makes is full of lethality, making it difficult for the soldiers to resist. The soldiers occupied a dominant position on the city wall, and they tried to use their high position to suppress the woman's attack. However, the woman cleverly used the terrain, sometimes avoiding and sometimes counter-attacking, leaving the soldiers in a passive situation. The battle became more and more intense, with sword lights flashing and fist shadows flying. The woman's figure was agile and swift, and her attacks caused the soldiers to retreat steadily. "This woman is too strong," a soldier shouted, and they felt unprecedented pressure. "You are so naive," the guardian of time and space roared, his figure flickering in and out, making people unpredictable. However, the cooperation between Lin Nan and the man in red armor became more and more tacit. They gave full play to each other's fighting potential and launched a final decisive battle with the guardian of time and space. In the end, after a hard battle, Lin Nan and the man in red armor successfully defeated the guardian of time and space. They suddenly felt a powerful force pouring into their bodies, as if they controlled the power of the entire universe. "We succeeded," Lin Nan said happily, his eyes full of pride and joy. The man in red armor also showed a satisfied smile. "Yes, we can finally develop each timeline according to our own wishes." They decided to use the power of the Guardians of Time and Space to return to their original world, repair the destroyed timeline, and return everything to normal. So, they activated the space-time stabilizer and opened the passage to their original world. After a long journey, they finally returned to their original world and regained control of the timeline. From then on, Lin Nan and the man in red armor became the new guardians of time and space, maintaining the stability of the timeline and allowing each timeline to develop according to their own wishes. Their adventure stories became legends and will be remembered forever. However, it didn't work out. Although Lin Nan and the man in red armor defeated the guardian of time and space, things did not go as they expected. They discovered that the power of the guardians of time and space is far beyond imagination. Even if some of them are defeated, there are still more guardians, and their existence is crucial to the balance of the entire universe. The spacecraft landed slowly, and they came to the surface of the planet. The surroundings were desolate, as if shrouded by some mysterious power. They began to search for traces of the guardians of time and space on the planet, trying to find a way to defeat them. However, the planet is full of unknown dangers. They encountered all kinds of strange creatures and traps, and were surrounded by dangers. "We must proceed with caution," the man in red armor said, trying to protect Lin Nan from dangerous threats. Lin Nan nodded. They must remain vigilant at all times to avoid falling into greater danger. They continued to search the planet, looking for traces of the guardians of time and space. Deep in the planet, they finally discovered the stronghold of the guardian of time and space. A huge palace stands there. This allows each timeline to develop according to its own wishes. In front of the palace of the guardian of time and space, Lin Nan and the man in red armor stopped and stared at the huge and mysterious building. It stands tall and tall, exuding a mysterious power that makes people shudder. "This is the stronghold of the guardian of time and space," Lin Nan whispered, determination and confidence shining in his eyes. The man in red armor holds the weapon in his hand tightly, ready to deal with possible dangers at any time. "We have to be careful and not take things lightly." The two decided to enter the palace together and face the challenge of the guardian of time and space. They passed through the palace gate and came inside. The palace was deep and seemed to be filled with endless mysterious power. "We need to find the guardians of time and space and defeat them one by one," Lin Nan said with firm eyes. The man in red armor nodded in agreement. "Yes, only in this way can we develop each timeline according to our own wishes." They began to search for traces of the guardian of time and space in the palace, and went deeper into it step by step. The palace was filled with a strong atmosphere, as if waiting for a decisive battle to come. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the dark corner. It was a man wearing a black robe and a mask, and his face could not be seen clearly. "Who are you?" The man's voice was low and cold. Lin Nan and the man in red armor stared at him closely, preparing to meet his challenge. "We are here to find you," Lin Nan said. "We want to destroy the guardians of time and space so that every timeline can develop according to our wishes." The man in black robe was silent for a moment, then slowly took off his mask, revealing a familiar face. "You are dreaming," he sneered. "The guardian of time and space will not be defeated easily." Lin Nan and the man in red armor were not intimidated by his threat. They were determined to defeat the guardian of time and space and return to their original world. "We will not retreat." The man in red armor straightened his body, his eyes shining with determination. The man in black robe's eyes flashed, and then he slowly raised the magic weapon in his hand, releasing powerful energy fluctuations. Lin Nan and the man in red armor quickly escaped and started a fierce battle with him. The battle was extremely fierce, and the Guardians of Time and Space showed great strength and superb skills in an attempt to defeat the two. However, Lin Nan and the man in red armor were not to be outdone. With their tenacious will and excellent combat skills, they launched a desperate struggle with the Guardian of Time and Space. Energy fluctuations raged in the palace, involving everything in the whirlpool of the battle. Lin Nan and the man in red armor continued to attack, trying to defeat the Guardian of Time and Space. Lin Nan stared at this citizen, and he could feel the strange aura emanating from him. An intuition suddenly surged in his heart, as if he knew everything that happened to this citizen. "You are possessed by the villain, right?" Lin Nan's voice was firm and calm, and he tried to use his own power to awaken the citizen's consciousness. The citizen was stunned for a moment, and then nodded, with a hint of understanding and relief in his eyes. He seemed to be aware of the situation he was in and understood everything Lin Nan said. "I remember that I was controlled by some kind of force." The citizen's voice trembled as he tried to recall his experience and find some clues. Lin Nan frowned, knowing that everything this citizen said might be a key clue. He decided to continue talking to him and try to learn more about the situation. "Can you tell me what happened?" Lin Nan's voice was gentle but firm. He tried to comfort the victim and let him let go of his guard and tell his experience. The citizens were silent for a while, and then began to tell what they had experienced. He described how he felt after being possessed and how the powerful force controlled his actions and made him unable to extricate himself. Lin Nan listened, with anger and unwillingness welling up in his heart. He is determined to seek justice for this victim, expose the true face of the dark force, and let them receive the punishment they deserve. During the investigation, the team encountered an unexpected crisis. As they tried to take the possessed citizen to the investigation base, suddenly a powerful dark force enveloped the entire warehouse. As members of the team, Harder and Lin Nan reacted immediately. However, just as they were trying to protect the victim, a strange energy suddenly struck, binding Hader firmly in place. Had. Lin Nan's voice was full of anxiety and worry. He immediately rushed to Had, trying to free him from the shackles of dark power. But the dark power was so powerful that Lin Nan could hardly resist. His body was firmly fixed in place by the dark force, unable to move. What's going on? Lin Nan felt a sense of helplessness and fear in his heart, and he felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. At the same time, Harder's body began to change. A strange energy surged out of his body and gradually enveloped him. His eyes became confused and frightened, as if he had lost his self-awareness. Had. Cheer up. Lin Nan's voice was full of calling and hope. He was unwilling to give up hope for his teammates. However, the control of the dark forces becomes stronger and stronger, and Hard seems to have completely lost his self-awareness. His body began to distort violently, as if it was completely controlled by dark power. Lin Nan tried his best to free Harder from the shackles of dark power, but in vain. The oppression of the dark force became stronger and stronger, almost making him breathless. They looked around and found themselves inside a huge amount of spaceship. The structure of the spacecraft is complex and sophisticated, full of unknown technology. "We must find out what's going on with this spaceship," the man in red armor said and began to investigate the surrounding environment. Lin Nan followed his steps and tried to understand the situation in front of him. They walked through the corridor and came to a control room. Various complex data are displayed on the screen in the control room, which is obviously used to control the spacecraft. This spaceship doesn't look like it was made by humans. Lin Nan observed the surrounding environment and discovered the mystery. The man in red armor nodded. "It seems that we are not the only travelers, there are other alien creatures also involved in this chaos of time and space." Lin Nan felt uneasy. They had to act carefully to avoid unnecessary trouble. They continued to explore the interior of the ship, trying to find a way to leave this timeline. Suddenly, there was a sound of rapid footsteps, and they quickly hid in the shadow of the control room, watching the surroundings vigilantly. A group of creatures wearing alien uniforms walked into the control room and began to operate the spacecraft's control system. Their appearance is strange and ferocious, and they are obviously not friendly beings. "We have to get out of here." The man in red armor whispered, trying to find a way to leave. Lin Nan's eyes were firm, they couldn't be trapped in this strange timeline. They carefully walked around the alien creatures, trying to find the exit of the spacecraft. However, just as they were about to leave the control room, a powerful energy barrier appeared. Want to kill 3-time guardians by myself. He stood in front of them and trapped them in the control room. The man in red armor gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing with anger and struggle. Lin Nan looked around, looking for possibilities of escape. However, the energy barrier seems fragile, but cannot be broken through easily, as if it is bound by a mysterious force. We must find a way to break the barrier, Lin Nan said calmly, trying to calm the situation at hand. The man in red armor frowned, and he began to study the various equipment in the control room, trying to find clues to break through the barrier. At this time, the alien creatures had noticed their existence and were approaching them. We have no time, Lin Nan whispered, knowing that he must act as soon as possible. Suddenly, a flash of light came from the corner of the control room, and a figure appeared in front of them. It was a man wearing a black robe and a mask, and his face could not be seen clearly. Are you looking for a way out? The man's voice was low and cold. Lin Nan and the man in red armor looked at each other and vaguely felt that this man was unusual. Yes, we need to get out of here. The man in black slowly walked towards the energy barrier, seeming to be thinking about something. Suddenly, he raised the magic weapon in his hand and began to chant ancient spells. The energy barrier began to fluctuate, emitting a dazzling light. A powerful force penetrated the barrier, defeated the alien creatures in one fell swoop, and opened the passage to the outside world. Let's go quickly. The man in black turned to them and said, the guardians of time and space are approaching. Lin Nan and the man in red armor did not hesitate, and immediately rushed out of the energy barrier and came to the outside of the spacecraft. They looked around and found themselves in the starry sky, with countless planets and spaceships floating around them. Where are we going? The man in red armor asked, looking far away, trying to find the next direction of action. Lin Nan thought for a moment, and then said, we must find the guardians of time and space and defeat them. The man in red armor was stunned for a moment, then nodded, yes, only by defeating the guardian of time and space can we return to the original world. The two quickly boarded the spacecraft, started the engine, and flew towards the unknown depths of the interstellar space. They know that the road ahead is full of unknowns and dangers, but they must move forward bravely and not be afraid of hardships. During the long interstellar journey, they were always vigilant and ready to deal with possible dangers. However, they also began to feel tired, and the long hours of running around made them physically and mentally exhausted. We must find the guardians of time and space, Lin Nan said with firm eyes, only by defeating them can we find our way home. The man in red armor took a deep breath and nodded in agreement, yes, we can't give up. The spaceship shuttles through the stars, passing through countless galaxies and stars, and their destination is the stronghold of the guardians of time and space. These guardians possess powerful power and are the guardians who maintain the stability of the timeline, but they are also obstacles for them to return to their original world. Finally, the spacecraft arrived at a mysterious planet. The planet was shrouded in a thick layer of fog, making it difficult to see the surrounding scenery. We're here, Lin Nan said, preparing to descend to the surface of the planet. Lin Nan nodded and prepared to take action with him. However, at this moment, the energy barrier suddenly changed, and a flash of light appeared, wrapping them inside. When they woke up again, they found themselves in a completely unfamiliar environment. Surrounded by a bright starry sky, they seemed to be in the universe. We have traveled to another timeline, Lin Nan exclaimed, surprised by the scene in front of him. The man in red armor was also shocked. It seems that our journey is not over. The man in red armor adjusted the equipment. According to my analysis, the next space-time stabilizer should be at this location. He pointed to a location on the map. Lin Nan took a look at the map. The location seemed to be in ancient ruins. They decided to set off immediately to find the space-time stabilizer at that location. They passed through a desolate desert and finally came to the ruins. The ruins are full of broken stone sculptures and collapsed buildings, and every step is full of danger. We must be careful, the man in red armor whispered, taking the lead into the ruins. They were walking through the ruins when suddenly, a low buzzing sound came from ahead. Lin Nan quickly signaled everyone to stop and observe the movement ahead. I saw a group of soldiers in black armor searching for something in the ruins, obviously coming for the space-time stabilizer. We need to be careful, the woman whispered, with a vigilant light shining in her eyes. The man in red armor nodded. We can bypass them and enter the depths of the ruins from the side. They carefully walked around the soldiers and finally reached the depths of the ruins. An ancient altar stood quietly there, with a space-time stabilizer shining with blue light suspended on the altar. That's it, Lin Nan whispered, filled with hope. However, just as they were about to approach the altar, a violent vibration suddenly occurred. The ground began to crack, huge amounts of cracks spreading toward them from all directions. Go, the man in red armor shouted, pulling Lin Nan and the woman to escape quickly. Black energy emerged from the cracks, as if some kind of terrifying creature was awakening. Lin Nan felt an ominous premonition. He knew that he must seize the space-time stabilizer as soon as possible and leave this dangerous place. We must split up, the woman said. I will attract the attention of those soldiers, and you can seize the space-time stabilizer. Lin Nan and the man in red armor nodded and quickly separated. The woman rushed towards the soldiers and launched a fierce attack to attract their attention. Lin Nan and the man in red armor took the opportunity to approach the altar and quickly seize the space-time stabilizer. However, just as they were about to leave, black energy suddenly erupted, forming a barrier of huge amounts, trapping them around the altar. Oops, we're trapped, Lin Nan exclaimed, trying to break through the barrier. The man in red armor quickly adjusted the space-time stabilizer, trying to find a solution. However, the black energy continued to grow, as if it was going to engulf them. At this moment, a strong sense of time and space distortion struck again. The whole world seemed to become unstable in an instant, and the figures of Lin Nan and the man in red armor gradually blurred. When they woke up again, they found themselves in an even stranger world. This world seems to be full of technology and futuristic feeling, with various high-tech aircraft flying in the sky and countless automated vehicles driving on the ground. We have been involved in another timeline, the man in red armor whispered, with complex emotions flashing in his eyes. Lin Nan felt uneasy, but he knew now was not the time to be afraid. We must find a way to get out of here. They were careful in this high-female Lin Nan travels back to Kamatage. In the ruins of the technological world, Lin Nan and the man in red armor looked around while moving cautiously. They need to proceed with caution so as not to attract unnecessary attention. We need a plan, Lin Nan suggested. We can't stay in this timeline for a long time. We must find a space-time stabilizer as soon as possible. The man in red armor nodded in agreement. Yes, but we must be careful and not let others discover our whereabouts. At this moment, a burst of rapid footsteps came. They quickly hid behind a dilapidated wall and observed the source of the sound. A group of soldiers in black uniforms walked through the ruins, looking around warily. They are also searching for the space-time stabilizer. The man in red armor whispered, we must be careful not to be discovered by them. Lin Nan and the man in red armor secretly observed the soldiers' actions, trying to find a breakthrough. Suddenly, a piercing siren sounded, and a tense commotion came from the ruins. Lin Nan and the man in red armor seized the opportunity and quickly escaped. What's going on? Lin Nan asked doubtfully. The man in red armor frowned. It seems something abnormal has happened. We must take the opportunity to leave here. They quickly headed towards the exit of the ruins, trying to escape from this dangerous place as soon as possible. However, a huge amount of energy barrier suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their way. We are trapped, Lin Nan said anxiously. The man in red armor calmed down and began to investigate the surrounding situation. We must find the control device of the energy barrier before we can leave here. They carefully searched the surrounding environment, trying to find the weakness of the energy barrier. Finally, in a corner of the ruins, they found a device, which was the core of controlling the energy barrier. We must destroy it, the man in red armor said, preparing to attack. At this moment, the voice of the Ancient One Mage suddenly sounded. We must quickly find a way to stop this dark force, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. Lin Nan heard the Ancient One Mage's cry and immediately realized the seriousness of the danger. He decided to risk huge amounts of money and join forces with the Ancient One Mage to fight this dark force. The two cooperated tacitly, mobilizing the power deep in their hearts, trying to dispel the dark power. Their bodies were shrouded in a layer of holy light, and they started a fierce battle with the dark power. During the fierce battle, the dark force became more and more violent, trying to swallow the two people completely. However, Lin Nan and the Ancient One Mage's will is as firm as iron. They are unwilling to be bound by the dark power and are determined to protect everyone around them. Finally, after a fierce confrontation, Lin Nan and the Ancient One Mage successfully fought back the dark power and rescued Hard's body. Hader regained his freedom, but his body still left traces of dark power, and he knew that this battle was a heavy test for him. After the dark force was repulsed, a pale light gradually dispersed, revealing Harder who was bound within it. His body was obviously exhausted, but his eyes were full of determination and vigilance. Had, are you okay? Lin Nan walked to him and asked with concern. Harder trembled slightly and nodded with difficulty. Although his body had gained freedom, a trace of uneasiness and fear remained deep in his mind. We have to figure out what happened quickly. The Ancient One Mage's voice sounded, and there was a hint of contemplation and alertness in his eyes. Lin Nan and the Ancient One Mage began to carefully observe the surrounding environment, trying to find some clues. Their eyes wandered around the warehouse, hoping to find some useful clues to reveal the true source of the dark power. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. She was wearing a black robe, with long hair shawl, and a pair of bright eyes flashing with cunning light. You finally found me. The figure's voice was cold and indifferent, and her tone revealed an incredible sense of confidence and arrogance. Lin Nan and the Ancient One Mage looked at each other, and they could both feel the powerful aura exuding from the mysterious woman in front of them. They realized that she was probably the mastermind behind everything. Are you the source of that dark power? The Ancient One Mage's voice was calm and steady as he tried to find out the true identity of this woman. The woman smiled slightly, and her smile was full of an indescribable sense of mystery. She walked toward them slowly, each step seeming to release an irresistible force. Yes, I am the source of dark power. The woman's voice was clear and cold, and her eyes scanned everything around her, as if she was declaring her dominance. Lin Nan felt a surge of anger and unwillingness. He was determined to expose the woman's true identity and make her pay for everything she had done. Why are you doing this? Lin Nan's voice was full of anger and challenge as he tried to figure out the woman's true purpose. The woman's smile became more sarcastic and cold, and her eyes revealed a ruthlessness and determination. Because I am you, Lin Nan. Lin Nan took the opportunity to go behind the man and quickly approached the space-time stabilizer. He carefully reached out and finally took the device in his hand. Successful. Lin Nan was overjoyed, but he knew he had to leave as soon as possible. This resulted in multiple branching timelines. Lin Nan took the space-time stabilizer and quickly ran towards the woman. Her battle with the man in silver armor was still raging. The man's armor shimmered with light, each blow carrying huge amounts of power, while the woman dodged nimbly, looking for opportunities to counterattack. Let's go, Lin Nan shouted, took the woman's hand and quickly fled the scene of the battle. The man in silver armor realized that the space-time stabilizer had been taken away, let out an angry roar, and quickly chased after him. Lin Nan and the woman ran desperately, trying to get rid of the pursuers. They passed through a misty forest and came to an open meadow. We can't keep running away, he won't let us go. The woman gasped, with a firm light shining in her eyes. Lin Nan nodded, knowing that they must face the challenge before them. They turned around and prepared to fight. The man in silver armor had already caught up with them, the weapons in his hands exuding a dangerous light. Do you think you can escape? The man said coldly, approaching step by step. Lin Nan and the woman exchanged a look and launched attacks at the same time. The battle started again, and the three men's movements were quick and sharp, as if time had stopped in their confrontation. Lin Nan used her own strength to confront the man head-on, while the woman nimbly moved around behind the man, looking for his flaws. Although the man was powerful, the tacit cooperation between the two put him in trouble. At this moment, a strong sense of time and space distortion struck again. The whole world seemed to become unstable in an instant, and the man in silver armor's movements became sluggish. Lin Nan seized the opportunity and punched him in the chest, knocking him to the ground. Use the space-time stabilizer quickly, the woman shouted, taking the opportunity to kick the man's weapon away. Lin Nan quickly took out the space-time stabilizer, adjusted the device, and pressed the start button. The stabilizer emits a dazzling light, and the whole world begins to return to calm. Successful. Lin Nan breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look at the woman. However, things are not that simple. The activation of the space-time stabilizer not only stabilized the world in front of us, but also triggered a series of chain reactions. The scene in front of Lin Nan and the woman began to distort, as if they were pulled into a whirlpool of huge amounts. When they woke up again, they found themselves in a completely different world. This world looks familiar yet strange. The sky is filled with strange lights, and the ground is scattered with various energy fragments. Where are we? Lin Nan asked, confused, looking around. The woman's face became serious. We may have entered another parallel timeline. Lin Nan felt uneasy, but he knew now was not the time to be afraid. We must find a way to get out of here. They move carefully through this strange world, and every step is full of danger. Suddenly, a strong light came from not far away. Lin Nan and the woman quickly hid aside and observed the source of the light. I saw a man in red armor standing in front of a ruins. He was holding a device with a mysterious light in his hand, which was the space-time stabilizer they were familiar with. Another space-time stabilizer, Lin Nan whispered, filled with questions. The woman nodded. It seems we are not the only travelers. They quietly approached the man in red armor, preparing to attack again. Suddenly, the man turned around, as if he had already noticed their presence. Who are you? The man asked coldly, with a vigilant light shining in his eyes. Lin Nan and the woman looked at each other and decided to identify themselves first. We are travelers who accidentally entered this timeline. We hope to find a way to return to the original world. The man in red armor frowned, as if thinking about their words. Which timeline do you come from? The woman quickly explained their situation, and the man in red armor nodded. I understand. This timeline is also experiencing unstable changes in time and space, and we need to cooperate to solve the problem. Lin Nan exchanged a look with the woman and decided to trust him temporarily. They followed the man to a secret base, which was filled with various high-tech equipment, apparently used to monitor and repair cracks in time and space. This is a temporary base I established to monitor the stability of this timeline. The man in red armor explained, we must find all the time and space stabilizers in order to completely repair the time and space cracks. Lin Nan and the woman nodded, knowing that this would be an arduous task. They viewed various equipment in the base and learned how to use these equipment to locate the spatiotemporal stabilizer. We need to find the location of the next space-time stabilizer first. The woman said, looking at the data on the screen. The woman nodded, and she calmly observed every move of her opponent. Suddenly, she noticed a flashing device on the waist of the armored man and guessed that it might be his energy core. Attack his waist. The woman shouted and quickly attacked her opponent. Lin Nan immediately understood her intention. He concentrated all his strength and rushed towards the waist of the armored man. The two attacks hit at the same time, and the armored man let out a painful roar and began to shake. Now, the woman shouted, taking the opportunity to knock the armored man to the ground. Lin Nan quickly ran to the energy source and carefully put it into a special container. They knew that they must leave this collapsed city as soon as possible. Let's go. Lin Nan pulled the woman and quickly rushed out of the hall. They passed through the crumbling corridors and finally rushed out of the palace and onto the ground. However, the collapsed city did not give them much time to breathe. The ground continued to crack, and huge amounts of rocks fell from the sky. They must find an exit quickly to escape this dangerous area. Follow me, Lin Nan shouted, leading the woman quickly through the ruins of the city. They crossed over the collapsed buildings, dodged the falling stones, and finally stopped in front of a hidden exit. Here, the woman motioned to Lin Nan, and they quickly entered the exit and followed a narrow passage to escape from the collapsing city. When they finally walked out of the passage and reached safety, both of them breathed heavily and felt a sense of relief. Lin Nan looked at the container in his hand, filled with hope. We did it, Lin Nan said to the woman with a smile, a firm light shining in his eyes. The woman also smiled and nodded. Yes, but we still have a lot of work to do. They moved on and embarked on a journey to find other sources of energy. Every location is full of unknown dangers and challenges, but they support each other and face it together. One night, they set up a temporary camp in a hidden valley. Beside the bonfire, Lin Nan looked at the starry sky, filled with emotions. He turned his head, looked at the woman, and asked, "Are you really here just to save your world?" The woman smiled and nodded, but a complex emotion flashed in her eyes. "Yes, but it's more than that. I also hope to find some answers of my own." Lin Nan asked curiously, "What's the answer?" The woman sighed softly. "In our world, I have always felt lonely and confused. I hope that through this journey, I can find my true self, and I also hope to find a sense of belonging of my own." Lin Nan nodded, feeling a resonance in his heart. He also felt lonely and confused, but now, he has a new mission and partner. He smiled and said, "No matter what happens, we will face it together." The woman also smiled and nodded, feeling warm and comforted. However, what they don't know is that the real crisis has just begun. Just when they were about to move on, a strong sense of time and space distortion suddenly struck, and the whole world seemed to have changed by huge amounts in an instant. Lin Nan and the woman stood there, feeling an irresistible force surrounding them. Their vision began to blur, as if they were being pulled into an endless darkness. When they woke up again, they found themselves in a strange world. This world looks completely different from what they are familiar with. The sky is filled with twisted cracks in time and space, and the ground is scattered with strange energy fragments. "Where are we?" Lin Nan asked confused, looking around. The woman's face became serious. "We are involved in the rift of time and space. This is the intersection of time and space." Lin Nan felt uneasy, but he knew now was not the time to be afraid. "We must find a way to get out of here." The woman nodded. "Yes, we need to find a space-time stabilizer to repair the damaged space-time rift." They move carefully through this strange world, and every step is full of danger. Strange sounds are heard from time to time in the cracks in time and space, as if unknown creatures are hidden. Suddenly, a burst of strong light came from not far away. Lin Nan and the woman quickly hid aside and observed the source of the light. "I saw a man wearing silver armor standing in front of the crack, holding a device that shone with mysterious light in his hand. That's the space-time stabilizer," the woman whispered, a hint of excitement flashing in her eyes. Lin Nan nodded. They knew they had to grab the device before they could leave this dangerous place. "We need a plan," Lin Nan whispered, staring closely at the man in silver armor. The woman thought for a moment and nodded. "I will attract his attention, and you take the opportunity to seize the device." Lin Nan agreed to the plan, and they quietly approached the man in silver armor, preparing to attack. The woman quickly rushed towards the man and launched a violent attack. The man was caught off guard by the sudden attack, but he quickly reacted and started a fierce fight with the woman. Lin Nan was stunned. He looked at the woman in front of him in disbelief. He never thought that the man behind the dark power was himself. You or me?" Lin Nan's voice trembled, and his heart fell into an unprecedented chaos and panic. The woman nodded, her eyes flashing with a trace of coldness and cruelty. "Yes, I am a part of you, the dark side deep in your heart that you have suppressed." Lin Nan's heart was shocked, and he realized that he could not escape this fact. There is a powerful dark force hidden deep in his heart, which affects his thoughts and behavior all the time. "But I won't let you continue to act recklessly." Lin Nan's voice was full of determination and firmness, and he was determined to have a decisive battle with his dark side. The woman sneered, a hint of ridicule and disdain in her eyes. "We will meet again, Lin Nan. Next time, I will make you fall completely." As a black light flashed, the woman's figure disappeared into the shadow of the warehouse. Lin Nan felt an unspeakable pressure in his heart, and he knew that he would face a more difficult challenge. Lin Nan stared at the woman in front of him quietly, with complex emotions surging in his heart. He knew he had to face his dark side, and at the same time realized how powerful this woman was. "Why are you doing this?" Lin Nan's voice was full of doubts and confusion, as he tried to figure out the ins and outs of this mystery. The woman smiled slightly, and her smile revealed an incredible confidence and arrogance. "Because I know what you are thinking, Lin Nan. You also desire to have power and control everything." Lin Nan was stunned for a moment, and a shock surged in his heart. He never thought that there was such a strong desire hidden deep in his heart, which was affecting his thoughts and behaviors all the time. "You are wrong." Lin Nan's voice was weak and calm, and he tried to deny the desire deep in his heart. However, the woman remained unmoved, with a hint of coldness and cruelty in her eyes. Don't deny it, Lin Nan. Your heart has long been shrouded in darkness, and your desire for power is so strong that you can't control it. Lin Nan felt an invisible pressure hanging over him, and he knew that he could not escape the true thoughts deep in his heart. He desires power and wants to be able to control everything, and this desire affects his thoughts and behavior all the time. If you are willing to join me, we can rule Kamatage together. The woman's voice was cold and seductive. She tried to win over Lin Nan and let him join her camp. Lin Nan was silent for a moment, falling into a difficult decision in his heart. He knew that he could not easily give up his belief in justice and fairness, but at the same time he could not deny his deepest desires. I will not stand with you. Lin Nan's voice was firm and calm, and he rejected the woman's proposal. The woman's brows wrinkled slightly, and there was a trace of disappointment and dissatisfaction in her eyes. What a pity, Lin Nan. You could have been an excellent ruler. Lin Nan didn't say anything more. He knew that he had to stick to his beliefs and not be shrouded in darkness. He was determined to expose the woman's true identity and make her pay for everything she had done. In battle after battle, Lin Nan and the woman gradually established a deep tacit understanding. They are not only partners fighting side by side, but also each other's support and support. One night, they set up a temporary camp in a hidden valley. Beside the bonfire, Lin Nan looked at the starry sky, filled with emotions. He turned his head, looked at the woman, and asked, "Are you really here just to save your world?" The woman smiled and nodded, but a complex emotion flashed in her eyes. Yes, but it's more than that. I also hope to find some answers of my own. Lin Nan asked curiously, "What's the answer?" The woman sighed softly. In our world, I have always felt lonely and confused. I hope that through this journey, I can find my true self, and I also hope to find a sense of belonging of my own. Lin Nan nodded, feeling a resonance in his heart. He also felt lonely and confused, but now, he has a new mission and partner. He smiled and said, "No matter what happens, we will face it together." The woman also smiled and nodded, feeling warm and comforted. They continued to move forward and finally came to their second destination, an ancient underground city. The city is full of mystery, and every street hides unknown dangers. This place looks more complicated than the last one, Lin Nan whispered, with a vigilant light shining in his eyes. The woman nodded. Yes, we need to be more careful. They carefully walked through the underground city, looking for clues about the energy source. Suddenly, there was a loud noise in front of them, and they quickly hid aside and observed what was going on ahead. I saw a group of soldiers in black armor searching for something, obviously heading for the energy source. Lin Nan exchanged a look with the woman and decided to quietly follow these soldiers to look for opportunities. The soldiers walked through the city and finally came to an underground palace with huge amounts of money. They began to force their way into the palace, obviously determined to seize what was inside. Lin Nan and the woman took the opportunity to sneak into the palace. The female Lin Nan used the time reset device to destroy the stability of the sacred timeline. Lin Nan and the woman sneaked into the palace cautiously, their slight footsteps echoing in the dark corridors. The walls are decorated with ancient reliefs depicting the city's former glory. From the depths of the palace, a low buzzing sound came, as if there was some mysterious power hidden. We must find the energy source and leave here as soon as possible. The woman whispered, with a vigilant light shining in her eyes. Lin Nan nodded, clenched the weapon in his hand, and followed closely. The two walked along the corridor into a huge and empty hall, with a huge amount of crystal suspended in the center, emitting a faint blue light. Just the energy source they were looking for. However, the soldiers guarding the crystal clearly would not let them succeed easily. Lin Nan and the woman exchanged a look and prepared to attack. Now, Lin Nan shouted in a low voice, and the two of them jumped out of the hiding place at the same time and quickly launched an attack. The woman shuttled flexibly between the soldiers, and every strike was precise and deadly. Lin Nan used his extraordinary strength to knock down the enemies one by one. They cooperated tacitly and quickly eliminated the surrounding threats. Just as they were about to approach the crystal, a violent vibration suddenly came. The entire palace began to shake, the reliefs on the walls cracked, and huge amounts of cracks appeared on the ground. What happened? Lin Nan asked in surprise, trying to keep his balance. The woman frowned and looked around quickly. This city is collapsing, we must leave quickly. At this moment, a tall figure appeared at the entrance of the hall. His whole body was covered in black armor, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Do you think you can easily take away the energy source? The armored man said coldly, his voice full of threats. Lin Nan and the woman looked at each other, knowing that this would be a difficult battle. They quickly dispersed and prepared to face this powerful enemy. The armored man swung the giant sword in his hand, each blow carrying destructive power. Lin Nan and the woman kept dodging, looking for opportunities to fight back. The battle was extremely fierce, and the entire hall shook from their confrontation. Lin Nan concentrated all his strength and punched the armored man in the chest, but the other man was unharmed. The man sneered and struck back with his hand, knocking Lin Nan away and falling heavily to the ground. Seeing this, the woman quickly rushed towards the armored man, using her agility and wisdom to deal with him. Her movements were quick and precise, but the opponent's defense was impeccable. We must find his weakness. Lin Nan struggled to stand up and shouted at the woman. They moved on and embarked on a journey to find other sources of energy. Every location is full of unknown dangers and challenges, but they support each other and face it together. Chapter 91. Who are you? Lin Nan asked vigilantly, leaning forward slightly, ready to deal with possible threats at any time. The woman approached her with a smile, her voice soft but firm. I am Lin Nan. Lin Nan's eyes widened and she couldn't believe her ears. This is impossible. How could you be Lin Nan? The woman nodded slightly. I know this is hard to believe, but it is the truth. We come from a parallel world, and in my world, I am you. Lin Nan was speechless for a moment, his mind filled with questions. He walked up to the woman and looked at her carefully. Although her face was similar to his, the aura she exuded was completely different. She looked calmer and calmer, with wisdom shining in her eyes. Then why are you here? Lin Nan finally asked, trying to clear his thoughts. The woman sighed, a trace of worry flashed in her eyes. Our world is facing a crisis of huge amounts, and I need your help. Lin Nan felt uneasy, but he knew that he could not refuse easily. He nodded. Okay, tell me the details. The woman smiled slightly and seemed relieved. Thank you. We need to find a special energy source, which is hidden in your world. This energy source can save our world and also help you fight against future threats. Lin Nan frowned, trying to understand the complexity of it all. What exactly is this energy source? Where are we going to find it? The woman took out an ancient map from her arms and unfolded it in front of Lin Nan. There are several mysterious locations marked on the map, and each location is full of unknown dangers. This map will guide us to find the energy source, but every location is full of unknown dangers and challenges. We need to proceed with caution, the woman explained. Lin Nan nodded, and gradually strengthened his determination in his heart. Okay, when will we set off? The woman smiled and said, the sooner the better, time waits for no one. The two quickly packed up their equipment and prepared to embark on this unknown journey. Before they left the base, Natasha Romanoff came over with a look of concern on her face. Lin Nan, have you really decided to go with her? It sounds dangerous. Lin Nan nodded and said firmly, I have to go. If it can help us fight against future threats, I am willing to take the risk. Natasha Romanoff smiled slightly and patted him on the shoulder. Well, I wish you good luck. If you need any help, feel free to contact us. Lin Nan looked at Natasha Romanoff gratefully, and then embarked on the journey with the woman. The first stop is an ancient ruin, hidden in dense jungle. After a long journey, they finally reached their destination. The ruins are full of dangers, and you may encounter traps and enemies at any time. This doesn't look like a place to welcome guests, Lin Nan said half-jokingly, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. The woman smiled slightly. That's true, but we have no way out. They walked carefully through the ruins, every step filled with caution. Suddenly, Lin Nan felt the ground shaking slightly, and he quickly signaled the woman to stop. Just then, the ground cracked, and a huge amount of mechanical spider emerged from the ground and rushed toward them. Run! Lin Nan shouted, pulling the woman to escape quickly. The mechanical spider's attack is so violent that every impact can make the ground shake. Lin Nan and the woman shuttled through the ruins, looking for a place to hide. Finally, They found a hidden stone cave and temporarily avoided the pursuit of the mechanical spider. What kind of monster is this? Lin Nan gasped and asked. The woman shook her head. I don't know, but it obviously exists to protect the secrets here. Lin Nan nodded, knowing that now was not the time to pursue the truth. They need to find the energy source and leave this dangerous place as soon as possible. They continued to move forward and finally found an ancient altar deep in the ruins. There was a faint light emitting from the altar, and a mysterious crystal was suspended in the air. The woman approached the altar, gently touched the crystal, and a hint of joy flashed in her eyes. This is the energy source we are looking for. Lin Nan looked around carefully, and after confirming that there was no danger, he walked to the woman. How are we going to take it away? The woman took out a special container and carefully placed the crystal into it. At this moment, the ground shook again, and the mechanical spider appeared again and attacked them. Let's go, Lin Nan shouted, pulling the woman away from the altar quickly. They shuttled through the ruins, avoiding the attacks of mechanical spiders. Finally, they rushed out of the ruins, but the mechanical spider was restricted by the boundaries of the ruins and could not continue to pursue. The two of them gasped and looked at the crystals in their hands, feeling relieved. The first step was successful, the woman said with a smile, her eyes shining with hope. Lin Nan nodded, but he knew that this was just the beginning. They still had many difficulties to face, but he was no longer alone. He fought side by side with the woman and gradually felt a new kind of power. Lin Nan stood quietly in the center of the warehouse, with a tense atmosphere surrounding him. His heart was full of thoughts and struggles. He knew that he had to face the challenge before him, but at the same time he also realized the difficulty of this challenge. Lin Nan, what are you going to do? Hard's voice suddenly broke the silence, and his eyes revealed a kind of anxiety and uneasiness. Lin Nan took a deep breath and tried to calm down the fluctuations in his heart. We must find a way to stop her, otherwise she will bring disaster to Kamal Taj. The Ancient One Mage walked up to Lin Nan, his eyes flashing with determination and belief. We cannot let that dark force continue to rage. We must join forces to fight against her. Lin Nan nodded, knowing that he could no longer hesitate. He is determined to work with his teammates to fight against this powerful enemy and protect the safety and stability of Kamal Taj. We must find ways to find her weaknesses. Lin Nan's voice was firm and calm, as he tried to find the key to victory. Perhaps we can find clues through her past, Harder suggested, with a hint of wit and flexibility in his eyes. The Ancient One Mage nodded, realizing that Harder's suggestion made sense. You're right, we can find a way to win by investigating her past. So Lin Nan and his teammates began to carefully investigate the woman's past, trying to find some clues. They exhausted all methods and collected all kinds of information, hoping to uncover the truth of this mystery. After some hard work, they finally found some key clues. The woman's past is full of mysteries and incredible stories. She has experienced many twists and turns and challenges, but she has always maintained a strong willpower and determination. Perhaps we can find the key to victory from her past. Lin Nan's voice was full of expectation and confidence. He believed that as long as he found the right method, he would be able to stop the spread of this dark force. As the team continues to delve deeper into the woman's past, they gradually discover some surprising facts. It turns out that this woman was once a mysterious being with powerful power, and she left an indelible mark on the history of Kamal Taj. She turned out to be a being with powerful power. The Ancient One Mage's voice was full of shock and surprise, and he looked at the investigation results in front of him in disbelief. Lin Nan felt a surge of complicated emotions in his heart, and he knew that he had to face this cruel reality. His purpose is not only to find the source of the dark power, but more importantly, to overthrow Kamal Taj and break the sacred timeline. We must find a way to stop her, otherwise she will bring disaster to Kamal Taj. Lin Nan's voice was full of determination and firmness, and he was determined to completely eliminate the dark force hidden behind Kamal Taj. Harder and the Ancient One Mage nodded, and they were also aware of the danger before them. They are determined to work with Lin Nan to fight against this powerful enemy and protect the safety and stability of Kamal Taj. Lin Nan felt nervous. He had never faced such a situation, but he knew that now was not the time to back down. He walked up to Natasha Romanoff and said firmly, "I want to help, too." Natasha Romanoff glanced at him and nodded. "Okay, follow me." The two quickly ran towards the street, and more citizens began to flee in panic. The hatch of the spaceship opened, and countless mechanical soldiers poured out and began to attack the city. Natasha Romanoff and Lin Nan hid behind an abandoned car. She quickly explained the situation to Lin Nan. These mechanical soldiers are the vanguard of the Cheritons. Their goal is to occupy the Earth. We must stop them. Lin Nan nodded, clenching his fists and feeling the powerful force in his body. Natasha Romanoff took the lead. She shuttled flexibly between the mechanical soldiers, knocking down an enemy with every blow. Lin Nan followed closely behind, and his fists could shatter the mechanical soldiers every time they struck. The fighting was extremely fierce, buildings on the streets were constantly being destroyed, and flames shot into the sky. At this moment, a red light shot down from the sky, blasting a huge amount of potholes on the ground. Lin Nan and Natasha Romanoff were knocked out and fell heavily to the ground. Lin Nan felt a sharp pain, but he gritted his teeth and struggled to stand up. Natasha Romanoff was not to be outdone. She held on to the wall and stood up with difficulty. The two looked at each other and smiled, encouraging each other to continue fighting. In the sky, a bolt of lightning flashed, and Thor fell from the sky. He held Thor's hammer and roared towards the mechanical soldiers. His arrival greatly encouraged Lin Nan and Natasha Romanoff. The three of them fought side by side and gradually gained the upper hand. However, just when they thought they had a chance to win, there was a roar of huge amounts from inside the spacecraft. A tall figure walked out of the spaceship. His whole body was covered in black armor, and his eyes flashed with cold light. Thanos, Natasha Romanoff whispered, with a hint of fear in her voice. Lin Nan looked nervously at the powerful enemy in front of him, knowing that this would be a difficult battle. But he did not flinch, but instead strengthened his inner determination. He clenched his fists, and the power in his body surged again. Thanos looked at them coldly, with a mocking smile on his lips. The ants of the earth, prepare for destruction. Thor roared and charged towards Thanos, and Thor's hammer hit him with devastating force. Thanos waved his hand gently, and Thor was knocked away and fell heavily to the ground. Natasha Romanoff took action quickly. Her movements were agile and sharp, but she seemed so powerless in front of Thanos. Lin Nan knew that only by uniting all forces could there be any hope of victory. He concentrated all his strength and rushed towards Thanos, each punch carrying endless anger and determination. Thanos felt Lin Nan's power, and his expression became serious. The two fought fiercely, punching each other hard, and the air was filled with tension. Each of Lin Nan's attacks carried huge amounts of impact, but Thanos' defense was equally impenetrable. The battle lasted for a long time, and Lin Nan felt that his physical strength was gradually exhausted, but he did not give up. He knows that he is not fighting alone. There is Natasha Romanoff and Thor, and all the Avengers. At this moment, there was a roar in the sky. Captain America, Iron Man and other Avengers rushed to the battlefield. They quickly joined the battle and had a fierce confrontation with Thanos. Iron Man's laser cannon continued to bombard Thanos, and Captain America's shield accurately hit his vitals. The members of the Avengers worked together to gradually suppress Thanos' offensive. Lin Nan gasped and looked at the battle in front of him. He knew that all this was not over yet. Thanos was still extremely powerful. He gritted his teeth and rushed towards Thanos again, fighting side by side with the other Avengers. The climax of the battle arrived, and the whole city seemed to be shaking. Lin Nan concentrated all his strength and sent out a fatal punch, finally hitting Thanos in the chest. Thanos' body trembled violently, fell to the ground, and let out an unwilling roar. The Avengers gathered around and completely subdued Thanos. The city has returned to calm, but traces of the battle remain. Lin Nan looked at the scene in front of him and felt tired, but more of a sense of accomplishment. Natasha Romanoff walked up to him and patted him on the shoulder. Well done, Lin Nan. You are a real hero. Lin Nan smiled and nodded, knowing that this was just the beginning. There are more challenges waiting for him in the future, but he is no longer alone. He has a new partner and a new mission. This world needs them to protect it together. Lin Nan and the Avengers won this battle, but they knew that this was only the beginning of a long battle. The city's reconstruction work is in full swing, and the Avengers' base is also extremely busy. Everyone is preparing for the upcoming new battle, and Lin Nan is no exception. One night, Lin Nan was doing physical training in the training room. His sweat dripped on the floor, his muscles tensed, and his fists kept pumping out. He is constantly improving his strength and skills to meet future challenges. Just when he was resting for a moment, the door of the training room suddenly opened and a strange woman walked in. Lin Nan was stunned for a moment. The woman in front of him was wearing a black tights, with an elegant figure and a sharp light in her eyes. Lin Nan was extremely shocked by her appearance, because this woman looked exactly like him. "I'm fine, just a little injured," Lin Ruo said reluctantly, with a hint of exhaustion in her voice. The two stood up and looked around, finding that the entire house had been destroyed, leaving only ruins. The man in black was nowhere to be found and seemed to have disappeared in the explosion. "We have to get out of here as soon as possible," Lin Nan said nervously, his eyes scanning the surroundings, looking for a way to escape. Lin Ruo nodded. She also knew that now was not the time to stay, she must leave this dangerous place as soon as possible. They began to search for an exit in the ruins, carefully avoiding the wreckage and rubble. Suddenly, there was the sound of heavy footsteps, and several men in black appeared on the edge of the ruins. Their eyes were cold and fierce. "You can't escape," the leader of the men in black roared, holding a sharp sword with a cold light in his hand. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's expressions changed. They knew that the current situation was very dangerous and they must find a way to get rid of the pursuit of these men in black as soon as possible. "We must split up," Lin Nan whispered to Lin Ruo. "You leave here first, and I will attract their attention." Lin Ruo hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. She knew that now was not the time to argue, and she had to follow Lin Nan's arrangements. She quickly hid in a hidden passage in the ruins, preparing to take shelter temporarily. Lin Nan watched Lin Ruo's back disappear into the ruins, then turned to face the men in black, his eyes firm and resolute. "Come on, I'm enough to deal with you all." Lin Nan straightened his back, his voice full of confidence and determination. The leader of the men in black sneered when he heard this, then waved the sharp sword in his hand and launched a fierce attack on Lin Nan. Lin Nan condensed a magic shield, resisted the attack of the man in black, and then fought back. His figure flickered in the ruins, nimbly esquivando the attack of the man in black, and at the same time released magical energy, launching a fierce counterattack against the opponent. The battle became more intense, and the ruins were filled with the smell of fire and frost, as if a magic storm was raging. Lin Nan's figure was like a bolt of lightning on the battlefield, shuttling quickly, sometimes esquivandoing the opponent's attacks, sometimes counterattacking, and sometimes releasing powerful magical energy. The men in black let out an angry roar, and they tried their best to defeat Lin Nan. However, Lin Nan's strength far exceeded their imagination. With his superb magic skills and unparalleled combat experience, he always had the upper hand. After a fierce battle, Lin Nan finally defeated all the men in black. They fell into the ruins one after another and could no longer get up. Lin Nan gasped, feeling the severe pain in his chest, but his heart was filled with the joy of victory. He knew that although the battle was difficult, in the end he won. Lin Nan, a seemingly ordinary Chinese international student, was rushing back to his dormitory from the university library. He is about 1.8 meters tall, with thick black hair and piercing eyes, revealing an unyielding perseverance. His life seems ordinary, but in fact, he is much more than that. Lin Nan has shown extraordinary intelligence and physical abilities since he was a child, but what really changed his destiny was an accident. It was a stormy night and he discovered a strange meteorite in his backyard. Out of curiosity, he touched the meteorite with his hand, but was enveloped by a dazzling light. After waking up, he found that he had gained extraordinary powers, which set him on an unusual journey. The nights in New York are full of unknowns and dangers. Just as Lin Nan was walking through a dark alley, a piercing scream came from not far away. Lin Nan quickly turned around and ran in the direction of the sound. At the end of the alley, a woman was surrounded by several men in black, with a look of horror written all over her face. Lin Nan's heartbeat accelerated, and the power in his body seemed to be calling him to help. He took a deep breath, walked towards the men, and said calmly and firmly, "Let her go." Several men turned around and showed ferocious smiles. One of the tall men sneered, "Boy, this is none of your business, get out of here." Lin Nan did not retreat. His eyes were firm, ready for the upcoming battle. Suddenly, he felt a strong airflow coming from behind him. He quickly dodged sideways, and a red beam of light passed by him, hitting the men in black and knocking them to the ground instantly. Are you okay? Lin Nan turned around and saw a woman wearing a tight-fitting battle suit standing there, the weapon in her hand steaming. The woman nodded, smiled and said, "Thank you for your help. I am Natasha Romanoff, a member of the Avengers." Lin Nan was stunned for a moment. He had heard of the Avengers, but he never thought he would see their members in person. "My name is Lin Nan, I'm just an ordinary international student," he said shyly. Natasha Romanoff looked Lin Nan up and down, a trace of curiosity flashed in her eyes. "Ordinary international student. Your reaction just now was not like an ordinary person." At this moment, there was a roar in the sky. Lin Nan and Natasha Romanoff looked up and saw a huge alien spacecraft hovering over the city. The spaceship made a shrill noise that was terrifying. Natasha Romanoff's expression became serious, and she pressed the communicator next to her ear. "Captain, we are in trouble. An alien spacecraft appeared over the city and needs reinforcements." "Copy that, come right away." Captain America's voice came from the communicator, firm and powerful. Lin Nan suddenly raised his head, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He stared at this uninvited guest, as if he was familiar yet so strange that he felt as if he had lived a lifetime ago. "You are..." Lin Nan's voice trembled slightly, like a candle in the wind. The man approached slowly, his eyes like a torch, staring at Lin Nan, as if he wanted to penetrate his soul. "Yes, I am your real master." The man's voice was full of majesty and authority, reverberating in the air like a bell. Lin Nan looked at this mysterious figure who claimed to be the guardian of the universe in astonishment. He was in a fog and could not understand his true identity and mission. Everything that happened next was like a bizarre dream. They seemed to be involved in a brand new world. Everything became strange and mysterious, as if they had entered a bizarre maze. "What is this place?" Harder looked around, grinning from ear to ear in surprise. "This place looks like the future, or another parallel universe." Lin Nan's tone was filled with incredible surprise. They found themselves in a strange city. The tall buildings were like giant beasts, towering into the clouds. Flying cars shuttled through the air and streaked across the sky like meteors. Everything was so different from the world they were familiar with. The emergence of this crack seems to have caused the timeline to bifurcate. "We have now come to a new time and space," female Lin Nan said thoughtfully. They know full well that their actions have completely changed the fate of the entire world, and Lin Nan's conspiracy has become increasingly complex and dangerous. "We must find Lin Nan and stop his plan, otherwise this time and space will fall into chaos." Lin Nan's words revealed a hint of determination. Lin Nan, Hade and the female Lin Nan are in a strange time and space. They can feel the distortion of time and space around them, which makes them feel extremely uneasy. In this unknown world, everything becomes strange and mysterious, and they have no way of knowing what will happen next. "We must find Lin Nan and stop his plan." Lin Nan's voice was full of determination. "But where should we start?" Harder frowned. As a result, Lin Nan and his teammates began to plot how to deal with this mysterious woman. They have drawn up a series of plans, hoping to be able to cope with current challenges and protect the future of Kamal Taj. After some planning, they decided to go to the woman's hiding place and compete with her personally. They know that this battle will be extremely difficult, but their faith and determination remain rock solid. "We must be fully prepared and ready to face challenges at any time." Lin Nan's voice was full of determination and confidence, and he was determined to fight this battle to the end. Ancient altars and magic props are placed in the secret room, and the walls are covered with ancient runes and carvings. In the center of the secret room, there is a huge amount of stone platform, which seems to be the place where the ceremony is performed. "We must follow the ancient rituals," Lin Ruo said, with a hint of excitement in her voice. Lin Nan nodded. He was also full of curiosity and expectation for the unknown. They began to prepare according to ancient rituals, lit the incense burner on the altar, and placed various magic props. "Ready," Lin Nan said, with a hint of excitement in his voice. "We can start the ceremony now." Lin Ruo nodded. She was also full of curiosity and expectation for the unknown. The two began to pray and cast spells according to ancient rituals. Their voices echoed in the secret room, as if summoning ancient power. Suddenly, a powerful force At this time, there were bursts of explosions and crashes outside the house. Powerful energy fluctuations suddenly came from outside the secret room, impacting their nerves like huge waves. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's expressions changed, and they immediately stopped the ritual in their hands and looked around cautiously. What's going on? Lin Ruo asked nervously, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know, but we must deal with it carefully. Lin Nan said vigilantly. He clenched the staff in his hand, ready to fight at any time. As the sound of explosions and collisions continued, the door of the secret room was shattered by a powerful force, and a group of men in black broke into the temple. Who are they? Lin Ruo grabbed Lin Nan's hand tightly, her eyes filled with fear. It seems that our arrival has attracted the attention of some people. Lin Nan whispered, his eyes flashing with vigilance. The leader of the men in black walked up to Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, his eyes were cold and majestic. Are you two the ones performing ancient rituals here? The man in black asked coldly, with a threat in his voice. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked at each other. They knew that they could not expose their identities easily and had to deal with it carefully. Yes, we are just looking for some ancient ruins here. Lin Nan replied calmly, with a hint of vigilance in his voice. Stop talking nonsense, the leader of the men in black said angrily. Hand over the treasures in your hands, or you will bear the consequences. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked at each other, knowing that they must deal with this emergency as soon as possible. They quietly exchanged a look and then made a decision at the same time. We don't have what you want, Lin Ruo said calmly, with a hint of determination in her voice. Nonsense, the leader of the men in black roared angrily, you must be hiding it. Suddenly, an icy ray of light shot out from the staff in Lin Ruo's hand, directly freezing a man in black. Let's go, Lin Nan shouted loudly, and they quickly hid deep in the secret room, preparing to make the final resistance. The men in black let out an angry roar, and they released powerful energy one after another, trying to destroy the secret room. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo faced the fierce attack of the man in black. They resisted with all their strength and released their magical energy. The secret room was filled with fire and ice, as if a magical storm was raging. We must get out of here as soon as possible, Lin Nan shouted, his voice seemed particularly heavy amid the explosion. Lin Ruo nodded, she was also full of fear and anxiety about the unknown. The two decided to take advantage of the chaos to escape from the secret room as soon as possible and find other ways out. They escaped wave after wave of attacks and struggled through every corner of the secret room. The attacks of the men in black became more and more fierce, and the space in the secret room seemed to be shaking. Quick, let's go this way. Lin Nan pointed to a secret passage hidden in the wall and said, with a hint of anxiety in his voice. Lin Ruo followed closely behind, and they rushed to the secret passage together. However, just as they were about to leave the secret room, a powerful energy barrier suddenly appeared at the entrance of the passage. We are trapped, Lin Ruo said in horror, with despair in her voice. Lin Nan frowned and began to think about how to deal with it. Their situation seemed very dangerous, but he couldn't give up and had to find a way to break through this energy barrier. Suddenly, he remembered the time controller, maybe it could help them break through this barrier. Lin Ruo, let's try using the time controller, Lin Nan said hurriedly, with a hint of expectation in his voice. Lin Ruo nodded, she understood Lin Nan's intention. She quickly took out the time controller from her arms and began to release the mysterious energy contained in it. The time controller emitted a dazzling light, and powerful energy fluctuations filled the entire secret room. The men in black were stunned by this sudden change, and they stopped. The dazzling light released by the time controller filled the entire secret room. The men in black were stunned by this sudden change. They stopped attacking and looked at the scene in front of them in horror. When Lin Nan and Lin Ruo saw this, they immediately seized the opportunity, broke through the energy barrier, and rushed towards the entrance of the passage. However, just as they were about to leave the secret room, there was a loud noise and the entire house was hit by a powerful force. In an instant, the interior of the house was in chaos, with walls collapsing, stones flying everywhere, and dust filling the air. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were twisted in the air by the powerful impact and fell to the ground in embarrassment. Are you okay? Lin Nan asked anxiously, and he quickly checked Lin Ruo's injuries. Yes, this is our next goal. Lin Ruo nodded, her eyes shining with wisdom. In the following days, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, together with the mages, began to track the traces of the Time Guardian. They know that this will be a more difficult and dangerous journey, but they are fully prepared. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo searched for clues in ancient books, trying to find traces of the Guardian of Time. Failures again and again did not discourage them, but made them more determined. We must find more clues, Lin Nan said, his eyes shining with wisdom. Perhaps we should go to those forgotten places, where important clues may be hidden, Lin Ruo suggested, with hope shining in her eyes. Lin Nan nodded in agreement, and they decided to go to an ancient ruins, which was said to have been the residence of the Guardian of Time. The ruins are located deep in a mysterious forest, and there is a strange atmosphere surrounding it. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo moved forward cautiously, knowing that any negligence could lead to serious consequences. This place is really full of mysterious power, Lin Nan whispered, his eyes full of vigilance. Yes, we must always be vigilant, Lin Ruo responded, holding her staff tightly, ready to deal with sudden dangers at any time. They passed through the forest and finally came to the center of the ruins. This is an ancient temple, surrounded by intricate runes and carvings. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo studied these runes carefully, trying to unlock the secrets. These runes seem to be guiding us, Lin Ruo said, her eyes shining with wisdom. Without all this is thanks to Lin Nan. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo exchanged glances, and they both felt the mysterious power contained in the ruins. In this ancient temple, they seemed to touch the veins of time, a mysterious and ancient existence that seemed to be guiding them silently. Perhaps we need to explore this temple more deeply, Lin Nan suggested, his eyes flashing with determination and curiosity. Yes, maybe we will find more clues in the depths, Lin Ruo agreed, her eyes shining with excitement. The two began to explore the temple in depth. They carefully stepped on the ancient stone steps and looked for clues everywhere. There is a mysterious atmosphere permeating the temple, and the ancient runes on the walls are shining faintly, as if telling ancient legends. Look here, Lin Ruo suddenly discovered an ancient rune on the wall, her voice full of excitement. Lin Nan stepped forward and observed the runes carefully. He discovered that these runes were not ordinary words, but an ancient magical language that recorded ancient legends and secrets. These runes may contain clues to the Guardian of Time, Lin Nan whispered, his eyes flashing with anticipation. Lin Ruo nodded, and she began to decipher the ancient runes, trying to find clues. After some hard work, she finally found some valuable information. These runes seem to describe an ancient ritual, Lin Ruo said, with a hint of excitement in her voice. It is said that this ritual can awaken the Guardian of Time. Lin Nan was stunned for a moment, then began to think deeply. If the Guardian of Time can be awakened, we may be able to get more clues about him and even ways to fight him. We must find the specific location of this ceremony, Lin Nan said, determination flashing in his eyes. Lin Ruo nodded, and she began to study the details of the ancient ritual mentioned in the runes. Her eyes were glued to every symbol on the wall, trying to understand the hidden meaning. I found it, Lin Ruo suddenly said excitedly, pointing to a rune on the wall. These runes describe the specific location of the ceremony. Lin Nan stepped forward and observed the runes carefully. He was full of expectations. If he could find the specific location of the ceremony, he might be able to take the first step against the Guardian of Time. We must go to that place as soon as possible, Lin Nan said, with a hint of excitement in his voice. Maybe there are important clues about the Guardian of Time hidden there. Lin Ruo nodded. She was also full of curiosity and expectation for the unknown. The two decided to set off immediately to the ritual location described in the runes. They passed through every corner of the temple and finally came to the location of the ceremony. Next to an ancient altar, there is a secret room hidden in the wall. It is said that that is the specific location of the ceremony. We must enter that secret room, Lin Nan said, determination flashing in his eyes. Lin Ruo nodded. She was also full of curiosity and expectation for the unknown. The two of them pushed open the door of the secret room together, and an ancient and mysterious atmosphere filled the air. As the team continued to move forward, they finally came to the woman's hiding place, an abandoned factory. The outer walls of the factory have been eroded by the wind and rain over the years and are torn to pieces, looking eerie and terrifying. Under the moonlight, the entire factory looked like an abandoned haunted house, filled with an unsettling atmosphere. We finally arrived at our destination. The Ancient One Mage's voice was full of vigilance, like a vigilant lion. He looked around, always prepared to face possible dangers. Lin Nan silently stared at the factory in front of him. His heart seemed to be pressed by a huge boulder, full of uneasiness and tension. He knew that this would be a life-and-death battle, and the outcome would be decided at this moment. We must act carefully and never take our guard lightly. Harder's voice was low and firm, like a calm Tarzan. He took out his pistol and guarded the safety of the team vigilantly. The team slowly entered the factory, looking for traces of the woman. It was dark inside the factory, with only the faint moonlight shining in through the broken windows, reflecting the ruin-like scene. Suddenly, a harsh sound sounded, like the roar of a demon from deep underground, which made people's hearts tremble. "Quick, let's go." Lin Nan's voice was a little nervous, as if he was being squeezed tightly by an invisible big hand. He quickened his pace, trying to get rid of that disturbing aura. However, at this moment, a black shadow suddenly appeared from the darkness and pounced on them like a ferocious wolf. "Be careful." Hard's voice was full of panic, like a disturbed bird. He quickly raised his pistol and prepared to fire at the shadow. Lin Nan also reacted. He was like a fired bullet, facing the black shadow, holding weapons tightly with both hands, preparing to deal with sudden dangers. With a loud noise, they started a fierce fight with the black shadow. Lin Nan was as agile as a cheetah, always alert, trying to find the black shadow's flaw and deliver a fatal blow. Harder is calm and decisive, his shooting skills are accurate, and every bullet hits the shadow's vitals like lightning, trying to repel it. The Ancient One Mage used his own spells to release powerful energy, trying to suppress the black shadow in place and buy time for his teammates. After a fierce battle, they finally pushed back the shadow, but they also paid a heavy price. Fine beads of sweat broke out on Lin Nan's forehead. His breathing was rapid, but there was a trace of firmness and determination in his eyes. "We must continue to move forward and not shrink back because of temporary setbacks." Lin Nan's voice was firm and calm, and his eyes revealed a strong will. Lin Nan's eyes flashed with determination, and he knew it was time to act. In the dark corner of the factory, he found a hidden portal, which was a passage to an unknown place. "I have to go and face all this alone." Lin Nan's voice was firm and calm, and he decided to take the risk alone. Lin Nan nodded slightly, took a deep breath, and walked towards the portal. With a flash of bright light, he disappeared into the portal and headed to the unknown world. There was a void in the portal, and Lin Nan felt an invisible force surrounding him, as if guiding him forward. He followed this force without hesitation and entered unknown territory. "It doesn't matter who I am, what's important is that your actions have violated the laws of time and space," the man said coldly. He raised his hand and instantly released a powerful energy, which hit Lin Nan and Lin Ruor. "Go." Lin Nan reacted quickly. He raised the controller and tried to resist the energy. However, the impact of the energy was too strong, and he was shaken back several steps. Lin Ruo also tried his best to release the frost magic, but the energy seemed not to be affected in any way. "We must find his weakness." Lin Ruo gritted her teeth and said, her eyes full of determination to fight. Lin Nan nodded, calmly analyzing the opponent's attack methods and energy fluctuations. Suddenly, a possibility occurred to him. His energy comes from the rift in time and space. Lin Nan shouted, "We must close that rift." Lin Ruo instantly understood what Lin Nan meant, and she quickly began to cast spells in an attempt to seal the crack. However, the man was obviously aware of their intentions. He sneered, released stronger energy, and attacked Lin Ruo directly. "I'll stop him," Lin Nan shouted loudly. He rushed towards the man and started a fierce battle with him. Each of his attacks contained huge amounts of power, but each of the man's counterattacks made him feel immense pressure. Lin Ruo was worried about Lin Nan while casting spells. She knew that time was running out and the cracks had to be sealed as soon as possible. She concentrated all her energy, and finally, the cracks began to slowly shrink. "Keep persevering," Lin Nan encouraged loudly, his eyes shining with determination. He knew that if they persisted just a little longer, they would succeed. However, the man obviously did not intend to let them get their wish. He suddenly increased his energy output, and the whole space seemed to be trembling. Lin Nan felt a strong dizziness, but he gritted his teeth and continued to fight. "You will not succeed." The man sneered, his voice filled with endless ridicule and threats. At this critical moment, a dazzling light burst out from the time controller in Lin Nan's hand. The light seemed to have infinite power and instantly counterattacked the man's energy. The man was shocked and took several steps back, with a shocked look on his face. "This is impossible," he growled in a low voice. "How can you have such power?" "This is the real power of the time controller," Lin Nan said loudly, his eyes full of wisdom and determination. "It is not only a tool to repair the timeline, it can also fight against all forces that destroy the timeline." Lin Ruo took the opportunity to speed up the process of sealing the crack. Finally, the crack was completely closed and the man's source of power was cut off. His body began to become illusory, as if he would disappear at any time. "No!" The man let out a desperate roar, and his figure gradually disappeared into the air, and finally disappeared completely. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Their bodies were exhausted, but their hearts were filled with the joy of victory. "We succeeded," Lin Ruo said softly, with a tired but satisfied smile on her face. "Yes, we did it." Lin Nan nodded, his eyes shining with hope. The mages gathered around and expressed their sincere respect for Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's bravery and wisdom. The old mage stepped forward, patted Lin Nan on the shoulder, and said, "You saved the timeline, we are proud of you." Lin Nan and Lin Ruo said gratefully, "Thank you everyone for your help. We just did our duty." However, they know that although this battle has been won, challenges still exist in the future. They must remain vigilant and continue to guard this repaired timeline. Night fell again. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo stood on the heights of Cometedge, overlooking the land they guarded. The stars twinkle, as if telling endless secrets. "Lin Nan, do you think we will still have this kind of battle?" Lin Ruo asked softly, with a hint of worry in her eyes. "Maybe, but we have proven that we have the ability to face everything," Lin Nan said firmly. He held Lin Ruo's hand and felt the warmth in her palm. "Yes, no matter how difficult the future is, as long as we are together, we can overcome everything," Lin Ruo said with a smile, her eyes shining with determination. Suddenly, there was a slight buzzing in Lin Nan's ears. He looked down and found that the time controller was flashing faintly again. "What's going on?" Lin Nan asked with a frown, his eyes full of doubts. "Maybe it's new information," Lin Ruo guessed. She moved closer to the controller and carefully observed the runes on it. The runes slowly changed, and finally formed a line of text. "The Guardian of Time still exists, and your mission is not over yet." Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked at each other, their eyes full of firmness and determination. They know that this battle is far from over and their mission continues. "We must find the Guardian of Time," Lin Nan whispered, determination flashing in his eyes. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo stood panting in the basement, looking at the enemies lying on the ground, their hearts filled with the joy of victory. However, at this moment, they discovered a mysterious device running in the corner, emitting strong energy fluctuations. "What is this?" Lin Nan asked with a frown, his eyes full of doubts. "It looks like a time distortion device." Lin Ruo stepped forward and inspected the device carefully. "If it is not turned off in time, it will cause huge amounts of time fluctuations and destroy the entire timeline. We must stop it immediately," Lin Nan said decisively, his eyes full of determination. The two men quickly began to operate the device, trying to turn it off. However, the device has a complex structure and is extremely difficult to operate. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo kept trying and finally found the key control point. "This is it," Lin Ruo said excitedly, her eyes shining with hope. Lin Nan pressed the control point, and the device emitted a strong light and then began to gradually stop operating. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the crisis was temporarily over. "We succeeded," Lin Ruo said excitedly, with a victorious smile on her face. "Yes, we did it." Lin Nan also smiled and nodded, his eyes full of relief. The team members gathered around, they were proud of this victory. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo led everyone to evacuate the castle and return to Kamatya. The mages admired the bravery and wisdom of Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, and they decided to continue to delve into the mystery of the timeline and completely eliminate all potential threats. In the following days, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, together with the mages, continued to study methods to repair the timeline. They continue to learn and experiment in the hope of finding the ultimate solution. One night, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were busy in the laboratory, trying to decipher the complex runes in the time controller. These runes contain the mysteries of time and space, and deciphering them requires extreme wisdom and patience. We are close to the truth, Lin Ruo whispered, her eyes shining with hope. Yes, there is only one last step left. Lin Nan nodded, his eyes full of expectation. Suddenly, a crystal ball in the laboratory emitted a dazzling light, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo felt powerful energy fluctuations at the same time. They knew this meant their experiment had achieved a breakthrough. Look, Lin Ruo said excitedly. She pointed at the runes on the crystal ball. The runes began to arrange themselves and form a complex pattern. This is how to repair the timeline, Lin Nan said excitedly, his eyes shining with wisdom. The mages came after hearing the news. They gathered around the crystal ball and studied the runes and patterns carefully. The old mage showed a relieved smile and said, "You have done a good job. We finally found a way to repair the timeline. This is just the beginning. We still need to find enough energy sources to completely repair the timeline," Lin Nan reminded, his eyes full of determination. "Yes, we need to keep working hard." Lin Ruo nodded, her eyes shining with determination. The mages began to prepare the ritual to restore the timeline. They concentrated all their strength and prepared to face the final challenge. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were also fully prepared. They knew that this would be a fateful battle. The ceremony to restore the timeline was carried out in Kamachi's square, surrounded by complex magic circles and runes. The mages stood in various positions of the magic circle, ready to release their power. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo stood in the center of the altar, the time controllers in their hands shining with dazzling light. They know that this moment will determine the future of the timeline. "Get ready to start," the old mage said loudly, his voice full of majesty and power. The mages began to recite incantations at the same time, and powerful energy gathered in the square, forming a dazzling light. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo placed the controller in the center of the altar and activated the power to repair the timeline. In an instant, the power of time and space burst out in the square, and powerful energy fluctuations swept through the entire cometage. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo felt unprecedented power, and they knew that the timeline was being restored. The plan to kill the Guardian of Time failed, but now I can't protect myself. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo succeeded in repairing the timeline at the last moment, but their victory did not last long. The moment the repair ceremony ended, they all felt the violent vibration of time and space. An ominous premonition came to mind. "Lin Nan, do you feel it?" Lin Ruo frowned, with worry in her eyes. "Yes, this is not a normal energy fluctuation." Lin Nan stared ahead, his intuition telling him that the matter was far from over. Suddenly, a dazzling light fell from the sky, and a powerful energy shock wave swept through the entire cometage. The mages were knocked away one after another. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo barely stood still. They saw a blurry figure walking out of the light. "Do you think you can escape punishment by repairing the timeline?" A low and majestic voice sounded, and the figure gradually became clear. It was a man in a black robe, with a cold light shining in his eyes. "Who are you?" Lin Nan asked, holding the time controller tightly in his hand, ready to fight at any time. Gradually, he came to a strange and ancient world. There is a mysterious atmosphere in the air here, surrounded by dense forests and ancient buildings, giving people a dreamlike feeling. Lin Nan is an ordinary office worker, working in an ordinary company during the day and living an ordinary life at night. His life seemed to be nothing special, until one day, an accident changed his destiny. It was a sunny afternoon, and Lin Nan was walking alone on the streets of the city, enjoying a rare leisure time. Suddenly, a strong flash of light fell from the sky and enveloped him. Lin Nan felt like he was wrapped in a mysterious force, and his whole body seemed to be integrated into this force. When the flash of light dissipated, Lin Nan discovered that his body had undergone strange changes. His body became stronger, his muscle lines became clearer, and he seemed to contain infinite power. He realized that he was no longer the ordinary office worker, he had become a superhero. As Lin Nan explores his new abilities, he gradually discovers that he is not the only one endowed with super abilities. In a corner of this world, there exists a mysterious organization. They try to control all super abilities in the world to achieve their goals. In order to stop this conspiracy, Lin Nan decided to stand up and become the guardian of the world. However, he faces countless challenges and dangers. On the way to pursue the truth, he encountered various enemies with extraordinary abilities and cunning thoughts. However, Lin Nan was not alone. He met a group of like-minded partners who fought together on the battlefield against evil forces. In every corner of this world, there are unknown secrets and crises lurking. Lin Nan and his partners shuttled between high-rise buildings in the city, sneaked into mysterious laboratories, and even traveled through rifts in time and space, and started duels with evil forces one after another. In this unknown journey, Lin Nan continues to grow, constantly breaks through himself, learns to control his own ability, and how to cooperate with a team to face the enemy's challenges together. However, he also deeply understands that becoming a superhero is not just a symbol of battle, but also a manifestation of responsibility and sacrifice. In this never-ending adventure, what challenges will Lin Nan encounter? Can he stop the evil forces' conspiracy and protect the peace of the world? Everything will be revealed in the future journey. While Lin Nan was embarking on the extraordinary road, somewhere far away in another time and space, a mysterious event was brewing. In the palace of Kamal Taj, a strange distortion of time and space suddenly occurred. A flash of light pierced the sky, and a young woman suddenly appeared in the palace. She was wearing a gorgeous long dress, her long hair was disheveled, and there was a trace of confusion and vigilance in her eyes. This woman is Lin Nan, but she is a version of another time and space. She traveled back to the ancient Kamal Taj. She found herself in a strange and ancient world. Everything was completely different from the modern world she was familiar with. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo stood in the center of the altar, the time controllers in their hands shining with dazzling light. They know that this moment will determine the future of the timeline. Get ready to start, the old mage said loudly, his voice full of majesty and power. The mages began to recite incantations at the same time, and powerful energy gathered in the square, forming a dazzling light. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo placed the controller in the center of the altar and activated the power to repair the timeline. In an instant, the power of time and space burst out in the square, and powerful energy fluctuations swept through the entire Comitage. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo felt unprecedented power, and they knew that the timeline was being restored. We did it, Lin Ruo said excitedly, her eyes shining with joy. Yes, we succeeded. Lin Nan also smiled happily, his eyes full of hope. The mages cheered, they were proud of this victory. The old mage stepped forward and said with a smile, your courage and wisdom saved the timeline. We are proud of you. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo said gratefully, thank you everyone for your help. Female Lin Nan was very angry about this. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's victory has not yet brought long-term peace. The success of the repair timeline has not completely solved the problem, and new threats are approaching again. This time, the enemy's conspiracy is more cunning and complex. Lin Nan, our spies reported that someone is trying to destroy the timeline we repaired. Lin Ruo said at the emergency meeting, with anger and anxiety in her tone. Lin Nan's brows furrowed. He thought for a moment and said firmly, we can't let them succeed. We must find them as soon as possible and stop their actions. Lin Ruo nodded, determination flashing in his eyes. She took a deep breath and said, we need to make a detailed plan to ensure that no loopholes are left. The mages began to discuss countermeasures one after another, and they put forward various suggestions and plans. In the end, Lin Nan decided to personally lead a team and go deep behind enemy lines to find out the enemy's true purpose. The night before departure, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo took a walk in the courtyard of Kamedahe. The night breeze blew gently, and the surroundings were silent. Only the chirping of insects in the distance occasionally broke the silence of the night. Lin Nan, do you really plan to go there in person? Lin Ruo asked in a low voice, with a hint of worry in her eyes. Yes, this is our only chance, Lin Nan said firmly. He held Lin Ruo's hand, and the warm touch gave him a sense of comfort. I understand. No matter what, I will support you. Lin Ruo nodded gently, her eyes shining with determination. Early the next morning, the team led by Lin Nan set off quietly. They passed through vast forests and crossed steep mountains, and finally came to the area where the enemy was active. Here is an abandoned ancient castle, surrounded by a mysterious and dangerous atmosphere. We must act carefully and not alert the enemy. Lin Nan whispered, his eyes flashing with vigilance. The team members nodded one after another, and they quietly sneaked into the castle and began to look for traces of the enemy. The castle is full of complex mechanisms and traps, and the alarm will be triggered if you are not careful. Lin Nan led everyone forward cautiously, and finally discovered the enemy's stronghold in a hidden basement. They saw several people in black robes performing some kind of ritual, trying to destroy the timeline. It's them, Lin Nan whispered, his eyes full of anger and determination. We must stop them. Lin Ruo held the staff tightly, her eyes flashing with the flames of battle. Lin Nan and his team members acted quickly. They quietly approached the enemy and prepared to launch a surprise attack. However, at the moment they were about to take action, the enemy seemed to be aware of their presence and responded quickly. There are enemies, the leader of the men in black robes shouted loudly, with a fierce light shining in his eyes. A fierce battle broke out in the narrow basement, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo fought to the death with the enemy. The enemy was clearly well prepared, and their magic and weapons were extremely powerful. Lin Nan used a powerful energy shield to block the enemy's attack, while Lin Ruo used the power of the staff to release a sheet of ice, freezing the enemy. Despite their best efforts, the enemy's numbers and strength kept them in a tough fight. We can't give up, Lin Nan shouted, his voice full of firm determination. Yes, we will definitely win, Lin Ruo responded, her eyes shining with perseverance. The battle became more intense, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's cooperation became more and more tacit. They supported each other and gradually gained the upper hand. Finally, they defeated all enemies and successfully prevented the enemy's conspiracy. The ceremony to restore the timeline was carried out in Kamachi's square, surrounded by complex magic circles and runes. The mages stood in various positions of the magic circle, ready to release their power. Yes, there is only one last step left. Lin Nan nodded, his eyes full of expectation. Suddenly, a crystal ball in the laboratory emitted a dazzling light, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo felt powerful energy fluctuations at the same time. They knew this meant their experiment had achieved a breakthrough. Look, Lin Ruo said excitedly. She pointed at the runes on the crystal ball. The runes began to arrange themselves and form a complex pattern. This is how to repair the timeline, Lin Nan said excitedly, his eyes shining with wisdom. The mages came after hearing the news. They gathered around the crystal ball and studied the runes and patterns carefully. The old mage showed a relieved smile and said, "You have done a good job. We finally found a way to repair the timeline." The two walked deep into the ruins and found an ancient altar. In the center of the altar, there was a crystal stone shining with blue light, and the surrounding air was filled with powerful energy fluctuations. Let's put the controller up and try it, Lin Ruo suggested. She carefully took out the controller and placed it next to the crystal. Instantly, the light of the crystal became more dazzling, a powerful energy flowed into the controller, and the indicator light began to slowly light up. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked happy, knowing that the controller was restoring energy. However, at this moment, a low roar suddenly sounded in the valley. Several enemies wearing black armor came out of the shadows, holding weapons with a cold light in their hands. It seems we arrived at just the right time, the leader of the enemy sneered, his eyes flashing with ferocious light. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo quickly stood in front of the controller, preparing for a new battle. The enemies were obviously coming for the controller, and they launched a fierce attack on the two of them at all costs. Lin Nan used his energy shield to block the enemy's first wave of attacks. Lin Ruo used the power of the staff to release a sheet of ice, freezing the enemy. However, the enemies were obviously well trained and quickly broke through the shackles of the frost and continued to approach. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo tried their best to resist, but the enemy's superior numbers and weapons gradually put them at a disadvantage. We can't let them take away the controller, Lin Ruo gritted her teeth and said with determination in her eyes. I know, we will definitely win, Lin Nan nodded, his eyes full of determination. The battle became more intense, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's cooperation became more and more tacit. Although they suffered a lot of injuries, they still persisted and refused to let the enemy get close to the controller. At this moment, the controller suddenly emitted a strong light, and a powerful energy wave spread, knocking back all enemies. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo took the opportunity to grab the controller and quickly fled out of the valley. Go quickly, don't look back, Lin Nan shouted loudly. He held Lin Ruo's hand tightly and ran with all his strength. Although the enemies were knocked back, they quickly caught up with them. They obviously refused to give up easily and vowed to take back the controller. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo ran all the way and finally got rid of the pursuit and came to an open space outside the valley. They stopped panting and looked at the controller in their hands, with a victorious smile on their faces. "We did it," Lin Nan said with a smile, his eyes full of relief. "Yes, we finally succeeded." Lin Ruo also showed a relaxed smile, with a hint of tenderness in her eyes. The two looked at each other and smiled, holding each other's hands tightly, their hearts full of hope. They know that although the road ahead is still full of unknowns and challenges, as long as they rely on each other, they can overcome all difficulties and welcome a better tomorrow. However, although the energy of the controller is restored, the number of uses is limited, and they must be used with caution to find a real solution to the problem. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo decided to return to Kamatage and seek more help and guidance from the mages. After returning to Kamatage, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo told the old masters about their experiences in the valley. After hearing this, the mages nodded one after another to express their approval and support. "You have done a good job," the old mage said with a smile, "but we still need further research to find a permanent solution to the problem. We are willing to continue working hard," Lin Nan said firmly, his eyes full of determination. "Yes, no matter what, we will never give up." Lin Ruo also nodded, her eyes shining with determination. The mages began to study how to repair the controller and timeline, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo also participated. They know that this is a long and difficult road, but they are no longer alone. With each other's support and help, they believe that they will be able to find the final solution. Time passed bit by bit, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's days at Kamaltaj were full of busyness and challenges. They learned more magical knowledge, mastered more powerful power, and also understood the mystery of the timeline better. At night in Kamachi, the stars are bright and the quiet night sky seems to be telling endless secrets. Lin Nan stood on a high place, overlooking the land where he and Lin Ruo had fought side by side. They found hope here and faced new challenges here. "Lin Nan, are you here?" Lin Ruo's voice came from behind, soft and warm. Lin Nan turned around and saw Lin Ruo standing on the stone steps, her figure looking particularly beautiful under the starlight. "I'm here," he said with a smile, "I just want to be quiet and think about the next path." Lin Ruo walked forward and stood side by side with Lin Nan. She looked at the starry sky in the distance and said softly, "Do you still remember the first time we met? At that time, we were still strangers to each other." "Yes," Lin Nan nodded, "at that time, who could have imagined that we would go through so much? We have experienced so much and grown so much," Lin Ruo said with a hint of emotion in her voice, "but no matter what, as long as we are together, we can overcome everything." "That's right." Lin Nan held Lin Ruo's hand and felt the warmth in her palm, and his heart was filled with strength. Suddenly, a breeze blew by, bringing a sense of uneasiness. Lin Nan looked around alertly, sensing something was wrong. "Lin Ruo, we have to go back," Lin Nan whispered, holding Lin Ruo's hand and walking back. "What's wrong?" Lin Ruo felt Lin Nan's nervousness and became more vigilant. The ruins are located in a mysterious valley, surrounded by towering mountains. The sun shines through the gaps in the leaves, casting mottled light and shadow. The stone tablets and statues exude an ancient atmosphere, as if they are telling stories from thousands of years ago. "This is it." Lin Nan looked at the ruins in front of him, filled with anticipation. "I felt strange energy fluctuations," Lin Nan said solemnly. "Someone may be spying on us secretly." The two quickly returned to Kamathije's hall, where the mages were holding an emergency meeting. When the old mage saw them coming in, he frowned and said, "Lin Nan, Lin Ruo, we have an emergency." "What happened?" Lin Ruo asked eagerly, feeling uneasy in her heart. "We found that there are enemies approaching our defensive barrier." The old mage explained, "Their target is probably you. We must take action immediately." Lin Nan said decisively, his eyes full of perseverance. The mages quickly took action. They strengthened the defense of the barrier and arranged a small team to patrol and guard. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo are also ready for a possible battle. It was late at night, and there was a tense atmosphere around Kamatej. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were patrolling outside the barrier. They knew that any negligence could lead to serious consequences. Lin Nan, when do you think the enemy will launch an attack? Lin Ruo asked softly, with a hint of worry in her eyes, like the twinkling stars in the night sky, revealing her inner uneasiness. Although the enemies were knocked back, they quickly caught up with them like hungry wolves. They obviously refused to give up easily and vowed to take back the controller. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo ran all the way and finally got rid of the pursuit and came to an open space outside the valley. They stopped panting and looked at the controller in their hands, with a victorious smile on their faces. We did it. Lin Nan said with a smile, his eyes full of relief. Yes, we finally succeeded. Lin Ruo also showed a relaxed smile, with a hint of tenderness in her eyes. The two looked at each other and smiled, holding each other's hands tightly, their hearts full of hope. They know that although the road ahead is still full of unknowns and challenges, as long as they rely on each other, they can overcome all difficulties and welcome a better tomorrow. However, although the energy of the controller is restored, the number of uses is limited, and they must be used with caution to find a real solution to the problem. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo decided to return to Kamatage and seek more help and guidance from the mages. After returning to Kamatage, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo told the old masters about their experiences in the valley. After hearing this, the mages nodded one after another, with expressions of approval and support on their faces. You have done a good job. The old mage said with a smile, but we still need further research to find a permanent solution to the problem. We are willing to continue working hard. Lin Nan said firmly, his eyes full of determination. That's right, no matter what, we will never give up lightly. Lin Ruo nodded, her eyes shining with perseverance, like the brightest stars in the night sky. The mages began to study the method of repairing the controller and timeline with all their strength, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo also joined in. They know that this is a rough and long road, but they are no longer alone. With each other's support and help, they firmly believe that they will be able to find the ultimate solution to the problem. Time passed bit by bit like gravel in an hourglass. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's days at Kamal-Taj were busy and full of challenges. They are eager to learn more magical knowledge, master more powerful power, and at the same time have a deeper understanding of the mystery of the timeline. On a quiet night, Lin Nan stood at the height of Kamal-Taj, gazing at the stars. His heart was filled with emotion, like the mighty ocean. Lin Nan quietly hid the controller while no one was around. Lin Nan stood at the height of Kamal-Taj, the night wind gently brushed his face, and his eyes stared at the starry sky in the distance. The stars twinkle, as if whispering the mysteries and endless possibilities of the universe. His heart was in turmoil, as if the flow of time had stopped abruptly at this moment. Lin Nan, what are you thinking about? Lin Ruo's voice came softly, and she stood quietly beside him, also looking up at the stars. I'm thinking about our future. Lin Nan smiled slightly and turned to stare at Lin Ruo. Along the way, we have experienced countless ups and downs and gained a lot of growth. Lin Ruo nodded lightly, with a hint of tenderness in her eyes. Yes, no matter what the future holds, as long as we stay together, we can overcome all difficulties and obstacles. Lin Nan held Lin Ruo's hand, feeling her warmth, and became more determined in her heart. At this time, he quietly hid the time controller in his hand in the secret pocket of his sleeve. This controller was their only hope now, and he had to protect it. Early the next morning, the magicians of Karma-Taj gathered in the lobby to discuss the latest research progress. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo also participated. They listened carefully and put forward their opinions from time to time. We discovered that this controller can not only perform time travel, but also repair the broken timeline. A young mage said excitedly, holding an ancient scroll in his hand, which recorded complex runes and patterns. Is this true? Lin Ruo asked in surprise, her eyes shining with hope. Yes, we only need to find enough energy sources to completely repair the timeline. The young mage nodded, his face full of confidence. Lin Nan's heart moved. If they could repair the timeline, they could completely solve the crisis at hand. But this also means that they must face unknown dangers and challenges again. We are willing to find energy sources, Lin Nan said firmly, his eyes full of determination. Yes, we will not back down. Lin Ruo also nodded, her eyes shining with determination. The mages exchanged approving glances with each other, and then the old mage said, "We are gratified by your courage and determination. The energy source is in an ancient ruins. That place is very dangerous and you need to be fully prepared. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo nodded, knowing the difficulty and importance of this mission. Subsequently, the mages prepared sufficient supplies and magic protective gear for them to ensure that they could successfully complete the mission. The night before departure, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo took a walk in the garden of Kamatage. The garden was filled with the fragrance of flowers and the night was quiet, as if sending blessings for the journey they were about to embark on. Are you scared? Lin Ruo asked softly, with a hint of worry in her eyes. A bit, but more of an expectation. Lin Nan replied with a smile, his eyes shining with determination. No matter what, we must believe in ourselves and each other. Lin Ruo held Lin Nan's hand, and the warm touch made her feel at ease. Yes, we will definitely succeed. Lin Nan nodded, his heart full of hope and courage. Early the next morning, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo embarked on a journey to find the energy source amidst the blessings of the mages. They passed through vast forests and climbed steep mountains, and finally came to the ancient ruins marked on the map. Yeah, I really didn't expect to experience so much. Lin Nan nodded, his eyes full of complex emotions. They have gone through a series of life and death tests, and now they can finally take a breather. The two looked at each other and smiled, pushed open the stone door, and walked into the square of Kamatage. It is still so peaceful here, and there is a faint aroma of herbs in the air. We have to find a place to charge the controller. Lin Ruo reminded. She took out the time controller from her pocket, only to find that the indicator light of the controller had completely gone out. It seems we have to hurry up. Lin Nan frowned, knowing that the controller's power outage meant that their time travel could not continue for the time being. Let's go find the mages. They should know what to do. Lin Ruo suggested. Lin Nan nodded, and the two quickly walked towards the hall where mages often gathered. Along the way, they met several mages. Although these mages were surprised by their arrival, they saw their embarrassed appearance and did not ask any more questions. They just silently guided them towards the hall. In the hall, several older mages were discussing the layout of the magic circle. Seeing the arrival of Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, they stopped what they were doing and showed puzzled expressions. Why are you here? An old mage with a white beard came forward and asked with concern. We need help. Lin Ruo handed the controller to the old mage. This thing is out of power, we need to charge it. The old mage took the controller and observed it carefully, frowning. This thing seems a bit complicated, we need time to study it. Please hurry up, we don't have much time. Lin Nan said sincerely, with a trace of anxiety in his tone. The old mage nodded and called the other mages to come over. They gathered around the controller and began to discuss how to charge it. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were waiting aside, feeling uneasy. Time passed by, and the discussion among the old mages seemed to have reached an impasse. Lin Nan couldn't help but step forward. How long will it take to get it done? The old mage sighed. The energy system of this device is not completely compatible with our magic system. It needs to find a special energy source to charge it. Special energy source. Lin Ruo frowned. Then where should we find it? Near Kamatage, there is an ancient ruins, which is said to contain powerful energy. The old mage pointed to a corner of the hall, where an ancient map was engraved on the wall. You can go there and try. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked at each other, knowing that this might be their only hope. Thank you, we'll leave right away. Lin Nan said. I wish you good luck. The old mage smiled and nodded. If you need help, come back at any time. After Lin Nan and Lin Ruo thanked the mages, they quickly left the hall and headed towards the ancient ruins marked on the map. On the way, Lin Ruo couldn't help but ask, do you think you can succeed? We have no other choice. Lin Nan replied firmly, we have to give it a try no matter what. The two followed the map's guidance, passed through dense forests and hills, and finally came to a hidden valley. The ancient stone tablets and statues here exude a mysterious light, and the air is filled with powerful energy fluctuations. This is it. Lin Nan looked at the ruins in front of him, his heart full of hope. The two walked deep into the valley and found an ancient altar engraved with complex runes. In the center of the altar, there was a crystal stone shining with blue light, which seemed to be the energy source they needed. Let's put the controller up and try it. Lin Ruo suggested, and she carefully placed the controller next to the crystal. Instantly, the light of the crystal became more dazzling, a powerful energy flowed into the controller, and the indicator light began to slowly light up. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo looked happy, knowing that the controller was restoring energy. However, at this moment, a low roar suddenly sounded in the valley. Several enemies wearing black armor came out of the shadows, holding weapons with a cold light in their hands. It seems we arrived at just the right time. The leader of the enemy sneered, his eyes flashing with ferocious light. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo quickly stood in front of the controller, preparing for a new battle. The enemies were obviously coming for the controller, and they launched a fierce attack on the two of them at all costs. Lin Nan used his energy shield to block the enemy's first wave of attacks. Lin Ruo used the power of the staff to release a sheet of ice, freezing the enemy. However, the enemies were obviously well trained and quickly broke through the shackles of the frost and continued to approach. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo tried their best to resist, but the enemy's superior numbers and weapons gradually put them at a disadvantage. We can't let them take away the controller. Lin Ruo gritted her teeth and said with determination in her eyes. I know, we will definitely win. Lin Nan nodded, his eyes full of determination. The battle became more intense, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo's cooperation became more and more tacit. Although they suffered a lot of injuries, they still persisted and refused to let the enemy get close to the controller. At this moment, the controller suddenly emitted a strong light, and a powerful energy wave spread, knocking back all enemies. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo took the opportunity to grab the controller and quickly fled out of the valley. Go quickly, don't look back. Lin Nan shouted loudly. He held Lin Ruo's hand tightly and ran with all his strength. Not sure, but we must always be vigilant. Lin Nan replied in a deep voice. He clenched the weapon in his hand and his eyes were sharp. At this moment, a strange wave of energy came, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo felt the enemy's approach at the same time. They reacted quickly and prepared for battle. In the darkness, several enemies wearing black armor quietly approached, their movements quick and stealthy. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo immediately rushed forward and started a fierce battle. Lin Nan used powerful energy fluctuations to push the enemy back, while Lin Ruo used the power of the staff to release a sheet of ice, freezing the enemy. Their cooperation was tacit and they quickly repelled the first wave of attacks. However, the enemy was obviously well prepared. More enemies came from all directions, and Lin Nan and Lin Ruo fell into a fierce battle. They tried their best to prevent the enemy from getting close to the barrier. We can't let them break through the barrier. Lin Nan shouted, his voice full of firm determination. We will definitely be able to hold on. Lin Ruo responded, her eyes shining with perseverance. The battle becomes more intense and the number of enemies seems endless. Although Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were exhausted, their will never wavered. They know that only by persisting until the end can they protect Cometedge and their partners. At this moment, a strong light burst out from the barrier, instantly knocking all enemies back. The help of the mages arrived in time, and they released powerful magic to completely repel the enemy. We succeeded, Lin Ruo said excitedly, with a victorious smile on her face. Yes, we did it. Lin Nan also smiled and nodded, his eyes full of relief. The mages gathered around and praised Lin Nan and Lin Ruo for their bravery and tenacity. The old mage stepped forward, patted Lin Nan on the shoulder, and said, "You did a good job, we are proud of you." "Thank you," Lin Nan said gratefully, his eyes full of gratitude and determination. Although the enemy was temporarily repelled, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo knew that this battle was far from over. They must continue to work hard to find a real solution and eliminate the threat to the timeline once and for all. In the following days, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo, together with the mages, continued to study methods to repair the time controller and timeline. They continued to learn and experiment in the hope of finding the ultimate solution. Late one night, Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were busy in the laboratory, trying to decipher the complex runes in the time controller. These runes contain the mysteries of time and space, and deciphering them requires extreme wisdom and patience. We are close to the truth, Lin Ruo whispered, her eyes shining with hope. This is just the beginning. We still need to find enough energy sources to completely repair the timeline. Lin Nan reminded, his eyes full of determination. Yes, we need to keep working hard. Lin Ruo nodded, her eyes shining with determination. The mages began to prepare the ritual to restore the timeline. They concentrated all their strength and prepared to face the final challenge. Lin Nan and Lin Ruo were also fully prepared. They knew that this would be a fateful battle. Where is this? Female Lin Nan looked around, trying to clear her thoughts. Who are you? Which distinguished guest suddenly appeared in my palace? A majestic voice sounded, and a queen in gorgeous clothes walked slowly over, her eyes flashing with vigilance. I don't know how I got here. I only remember that my name is Lin Nan, and I come from another world. Female Lin Nan's voice was trembling, and she felt overwhelmed by everything in front of her. Very confused and surprised. Another world. The queen frowned slightly, a trace of doubt flashing in her eyes. Perhaps you could tell me more about your origins. Therefore, the female Lin Nan told the queen about her experience. She came from a modern city and accidentally traveled to this ancient time and space. The queen listened with great interest, and she became very interested in the modern world where Lin Nan came from. You said you come from a world full of technology and miracles. That's surprising. The queen's eyes flashed with excitement. Perhaps you can bring us some new knowledge and technology to make our kingdom more prosperous. After hearing the queen's words, the female Lin Nan felt a move in her heart. Perhaps this was an opportunity for her to use her knowledge and technology to help this ancient kingdom move towards modernization. I am willing to do my best to help you, but before that, I need to know more about this world and how I can return to my hometown. Female Lin Nan said. Then please come with me, and I will arrange everything for you so that you can have a pleasant time in our kingdom. The queen said with a smile, full of curiosity and expectation for this woman from the unknown world. Therefore, the female Lin Nan followed the queen to the interior of the palace and began her wonderful adventure in this ancient kingdom. In this strange and mysterious world, what challenges and adventures will she encounter? Can she find a way to return to the modern world? Everything will be revealed in her future journey. In the ancient Taj kingdom, the female Lin Nan not only has to adapt to this strange environment, but also has to face a series of challenges and tests. She is full of desire to return to her own world, but in this ancient time and space, she must find a way to travel back. However, just as the female Lin Nan was thinking about her situation, a mysterious force began to stir in the kingdom. In this world, there are 3 powerful time guardians who guard the order of time and prevent any attempt to change history. The female Lin Nan heard the legend about these 3 guardians of time. She knew that if she wanted to return to her own world, she must first eliminate these 3 guardians before she could break the confinement of time and space. I must find these 3 time guardians and eliminate them one by one. Lin Nan made up her mind and decided to achieve this goal by herself. So, the female Lin Nan started her action. She traveled through the city of Taj, looking for clues about the Guardian of Time. She visited ancient libraries and consulted a large number of ancient books and documents, trying to learn more about these 3 guardians. In the process of searching, the female Lin Nan met many residents of the kingdom, who were full of curiosity and awe for her, a woman from an unknown world. Her courage and determination infected everyone, and they all expressed their willingness to help the female Lin Nan achieve her goal. However, it is not easy to find and eliminate these 3 time guardians. These 3 guardians are hidden in different corners of the kingdom. They possess extraordinary strength and wisdom, and are the most powerful obstacles on the way forward for the female Lin Nan. After a long period of search and exploration, the female Lin Nan finally found the location of the first guardian of time. He is hiding in an abandoned castle, surrounded by various mechanisms and traps. Are you the woman who tried to change the order of time? The time guardian looked at the female Lin Nan indifferently, with a hint of vigilance in his eyes. I didn't come here to change the order of time, I just want to return to my hometown. If you stop me, then I can only fight violence with violence. Female Lin Nan said calmly, exuding an unstoppable momentum. Then, a fierce battle broke out. The female Lin Nan used her super ability to dodge the attacks of the Time Guardian while launching her own counterattack. In a tense atmosphere, the two launched a life and death struggle. As the battle progressed, the female Lin Nan gradually figured out the weaknesses of the Time Guardian. She cleverly used the surrounding environment and her own ability to force the Time Guardian into a desperate situation. In the end, with a fatal blow, the Time Guardian was completely defeated by the female Lin Nan. He turned into a ray of light and dissipated in the air, leaving behind a shimmering space-time crystal. The first guardian has been eliminated by me. The next step is to find the other two. Female Lin Nan secretly made up her mind. Her eyes were firm and decisive. She knew that she must continue to move forward until she completes her mission. This allows each timeline to develop according to its own wishes. As the female Lin Nan successfully defeated the first guardian of time, her adventure entered a new stage. She knew that if she wanted to return to her own world, she had to eliminate the remaining two guardians one by one. She is determined to keep moving forward, regardless of hardships or challenges. During the rest of the journey, the female Lin Nan traveled across the land of Kamatage Kingdom, looking for traces of the next guardian of time. She has experienced countless hardships and obstacles, but her will has always been ironclad. She believes that as long as she persists, she will eventually be able to achieve her goal. During her exploration, the female Lin Nan encountered many adventures and challenges. She traveled through dense forests, climbed steep peaks, and explored mysterious caves and ruins. Every experience makes her stronger and more mature, and she learns how to deal with various difficulties and dangers. On a stormy night, the female Lin Nan came to an ancient castle. This castle is hidden in a desolate valley, surrounded by a thick layer of fog, and looks very mysterious and strange. Is this the location of the second guardian of time? Female Lin Nan secretly speculated in her heart, knowing that the next challenge would be even more difficult. When she stepped into the castle, a cold breath hit her face. The whole castle is full of eerie atmosphere, seemingly hiding endless secrets and dangers. Welcome to my domain, brave woman. A sinister voice sounded in the air, and a man in black robes walked slowly over, with a cold light shining in his eyes. Are you the second guardian of time? Female Lin Nan stared at the black-robed man in front of her, her voice revealing a hint of challenge and determination. Yes, I am the guardian who controls the order of time. Do you think you can defeat me easily? The man in black robe said with a sneer, his voice full of ridicule and disdain. I don't know, but I will try my best. Female Lin Nan said without fear, exuding an unstoppable momentum. So, a fierce battle broke out again. The female Lin Nan and the man in black robe started a life-and-death battle. Their figures intertwined in the hall of the castle, their swords flashed and flames shot out. In this thrilling battle, the female Lin Nan continued to use her super ability to dodge the attacks of the men in black robes while launching her own counterattacks. Every move she made showed her courage and determination, and she was determined to completely defeat the man in black robe. However, the man in black robe is not an easy enemy to deal with. He possesses powerful dark power and can easily change the flow of time, causing great trouble to the female Lin Nan. However, the female Lin Nan has no intention of backing down. She held the weapon in her hand tightly and stared at the man in black robe, her heart filled with determination and courage. She knew that only by defeating the man in black robe could she move forward and complete her mission. However, it didn't work out. In the fierce battle, the female Lin Nan and the man in black robe started a desperate struggle. Their figures intertwined in the hall of the castle, their swords flashed and flames shot out. Every collision releases deafening force, tearing apart the surrounding air. Female Lin Nan exudes a powerful energy, her eyes are shining with determination, and she is determined to completely defeat the man in black robe. Her movements are flexible and decisive, and she confronts the man in black robe without fear. Each of her attacks carries the power to destroy everything. However, the man in black robe is not an easy enemy to deal with. He possesses powerful dark power and can easily change the flow of time, causing great trouble to the female Lin Nan. His attack was like a storm, swift and ruthless, making it almost difficult for the female Lin Nan to deal with it. In the fierce battle, the female Lin Nan always remained calm and composed. She constantly adjusted her tactics, looking for flaws in her attacks, trying to find opportunities to defeat the man in black robes. You are still too young. Do you think you can change the direction of time alone? Ridiculous. The man in black robe sneered, his voice full of ridicule and disdain. I don't care what you think of me, I just know that I must complete my mission. Female Lin Nan said unwaveringly, her voice revealing firmness and decisiveness. In a fierce confrontation, the female Lin Nan finally discovered the weakness of the man in black robe. She seized this opportunity and launched an attack with all her strength, forcing the man in black robe into a desperate situation. However, at the critical moment, a mysterious force suddenly appeared, covering both the female Lin Nan and the man in black robe. A powerful energy began to collide fiercely between them, shaking the entire castle. The female Lin Nan was surprised to find that she seemed unable to fully control this power. Her body began to tremble violently, and her mind was filled with incomprehensible information and memory fragments. What kind of power is this? Female Lin Nan's heart was filled with fear and confusion. She felt as if she was about to be swallowed up by this power. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed, and a mysterious figure appeared in the hall of the castle. This man was wearing a gorgeous robe and a golden crown, with a hint of majesty and mystery in his eyes. Both of you are beings that should not exist in this time and space. I must send you back to the original timeline. The mysterious man's voice was calm and cold. He seemed to have infinite power and wisdom. The female Lin Nan felt a strong pressure emanating from the mysterious man, and she knew that she had met a powerful opponent. However, she does not intend to give up easily, and is determined to continue fighting until she completes her mission. She collided head-on with the soldiers in Kamatage and started a fight. With the appearance of the mysterious man, both the woman Lin Nan and the man in black robe felt an irresistible pressure. Their bodies seemed to be bound by an invisible force, unable to move. Both of you are anomalies in time and space and must be completely eliminated. The mysterious man's voice was cold and firm, and his eyes were as bright as a torch, as if he could understand everything. Catch them. Don't let them escape. A time soldier shouted, his voice echoing throughout the scene, making people feel an irresistible sense of oppression. The female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan faced this sudden challenge, but there was no fear on their faces. Although they are in danger, their will is still firm, and they are determined to deal with the crisis at hand with their own strength and wisdom. We must unite and fight these enemies together. Female Lin Nan tightly held the hand of another Lin Nan, with a firm light shining in her eyes. Yes, we must work together to defeat them. Another Lin Nan said without hesitation, her voice full of confidence and determination. As a result, the two Lin Nan stood closely together, preparing to face this new wave of challenges. Their bodies exude a powerful energy, and their eyes are firm and sharp, as if they can see into the future. The time soldiers were approaching quickly. They were holding weapons and looking fiercely. They were obviously here to eliminate the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan in one fell swoop. Their offensive is fierce and vicious, making it impossible to resist. The female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan stepped forward, waving their weapons, and started a fierce duel with the time soldiers. Swords flashed, flames burned, and the sounds of battle were deafening. Every move they make is full of strength and determination. They confront the time soldiers without fear, showing a fighting power beyond ordinary people. In this life and death battle, they always remained calm and collected, and faced the crisis at hand with their own wisdom and courage. However, the offensive of the time soldiers became more and more fierce. Their large numbers and rich combat experience put the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan into an extreme dilemma. Under the siege of the enemy, they continued to retreat, and their bodies were covered with scars, but their will remained firm and they were determined to persevere until they defeated all enemies. In order to avoid the attack, Lin Nan pressed the button of the time controller at the critical moment. At the critical moment of life and death, the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan felt huge amounts of pressure, and their situation became more and more dangerous. Facing the fierce attack from the time soldiers, they had to try their best to find a breakthrough. Suddenly, a time soldier wielded a giant sword and struck violently at the female Lin Nan. The female Lin Nan could not dodge and could only close her eyes tightly and wait for the fatal blow. However, at the critical moment, her fingers involuntarily pressed the button of the time controller in her arms. A powerful energy surged out from the time controller, covering the entire scene. Time seemed to have stopped, everything became slow and blurry. Under the influence of this energy, the bodies of the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan also became illusory and blurry. Their bodies seemed to travel through the long river of time, traveling through countless time and space, and saw all kinds of strange sights and scenes. Their thinking becomes confused and blurred, and they cannot distinguish the boundary between reality and illusion. However, at this moment, the female Lin Nan suddenly felt a powerful force, and her body began to become clear again. She found herself standing in a completely unfamiliar place, surrounded by desolation. Behind her was a vast desert, and in front of her was an ancient and mysterious castle. Where is this? Female Lin Nan's heart was full of doubts and confusion, and she tried to figure out where she was. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded, breaking the silence. Welcome to the end of time, female Lin Nan. The voice was full of mystery and majesty, as if it was a voice from ancient times. The female Lin Nan turned around and saw a figure appearing in front of her. This man was wearing a long robe, his face was old and solemn, and his eyes shone with a strange light. Who are you? Why did I come here? Lin Nan asked, her voice full of vigilance and doubt. I am the guardian of time. I have witnessed the origin and end of time. You are here because you pressed the button of the time controller and entered the cracks of time. The voice of the guardian of time is calm and solemn. His eyes revealed a hint of love and care. After hearing this, the female Lin Nan couldn't help but feel moved in her heart. She realized that she had entered a new time and space, and here, she would face unprecedented challenges and tests. In that mysterious and ancient place, the female Lin Nan fell into questioning the guardian of time. At the same time, another Lin Nan also experienced his own challenges. At the moment when a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, another Lin Nan felt that her body was suddenly attracted by a powerful force. Then, she seemed to have traveled through time and space and came to a strange and desolate place. She looked around and found herself in an abandoned and desolate city. The high-rise buildings are dilapidated and collapsed, the streets are overgrown with grass, and there is a feeling of deathly silence and desolation. Just when she was trying to figure out where she was, suddenly, a strange breath hit her face. She felt that a powerful energy was gathering, and this energy seemed to have some connection with her existence. At this moment, a strange crack appeared in the sky, accompanied by a harsh buzzing sound. The crack grew larger and larger, and a strong gravitational force surged out of it, sucking another Lin Nan into it. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself in a space station with huge amounts of space. This space station is huge and magnificent, and its various peculiar equipment and devices exude a strong sense of science and technology. This is satellite number 1 of 2077. Another Lin Nan was filled with doubts and confusion. She was trying to figure out the time and place she was in. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. This man was wearing a black combat uniform, with a cold and resolute face, and a trace of vigilance in his eyes. Who are you? Why are you here? Another Lin Nan asked, her voice full of vigilance and doubt. I am the guardian of this space station. I am responsible for monitoring and protecting everything here. You appear here because you were attracted by the cracks in time and entered this time and space. The voice of the space station guardian is cold and firm. His eyes revealed a hint of vigilance. Another Lin Nan heard this, and his heart moved. She realizes that she has arrived in a new era and place, where she will face unprecedented challenges and tests. This satellite will soon collide with a planet and be destroyed. In the space station of the 2077-1 satellite, another Lin Nan looked around nervously. She could feel an ominous atmosphere filling the air. Suddenly, a shiver came over her, making her heart beat faster. What kind of power is this? Female Lin Nan's heart was filled with fear and confusion. She felt as if she was about to be swallowed up by this power. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed, and a mysterious figure appeared in the scene. This man was wearing a gorgeous robe and a golden crown, with a hint of majesty and mystery in his eyes. Both of you are beings that should not exist in this time and space. I must send you back to the original timeline. The mysterious man's voice was calm and indifferent. He seemed to have where the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan are, a new crisis is rapidly approaching. With the appearance of the mysterious man, the whole scene became more chaotic, and at this time, a new wave of time soldiers suddenly appeared on the scene. They were wearing armor and holding weapons, and they were attacking the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan aggressively. Their arrival made the situation even more tense, because they were outnumbered and greatly increased the pressure on the female Lin Nan and the other Lin Nan. We must find a safe place quickly. Another Lin Nan said anxiously, realizing that the satellite was about to be in danger of destruction. The emergency alarm in the space station sounded, warning all residents to evacuate immediately. Another Lin Nan, together with the surrounding crowd, hurried towards the escape cabin. The escape cabin was overcrowded, and everyone wanted to rush out of this dangerous place. Another Lin Nan was squeezed into the crowd, and his body was pushed forward involuntarily. Suddenly, there was a violent vibration in the space station, accompanied by huge amounts of roaring sounds, and the entire space station began to shake. The lights on the walls flickered, various devices hissed, and the scene was chaotic. "Quick, we must get out of here as soon as possible," shouted another Lin Nan, trying her best to maintain calm and order among the crowd. The crowd in the escape cabin continued to squeeze, and the situation became increasingly chaotic. Some people panicked, some shouted for help, and the whole cabin was in chaos. Another Lin Nan realized that the situation was very critical and decided to take action. She quickly squeezed out of the crowd and came to the console of the escape cabin. She quickly operated the console and tried to activate the escape cabin, but the power system in the cabin was damaged and could not operate normally. Another Lin Nan was anxious. She knew that a solution must be found as soon as possible, otherwise everyone's lives would be in danger. At this moment, a strange light suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. She looked up and found a crack on the ceiling of the space station. The light coming from the crack seemed to be a symbol of power. "Maybe this is where our hope lies," another Lin Nan thought, and she decided to take a risk to see if she could find a way out through this crack. She walked towards the crack without hesitation, feeling the vibration caused by the strange power. She knew that only by taking a risk could she possibly find a way out and save her own life and the lives of others. Everything on this planet will be destroyed, and no one will survive. In the space station of satellite number 1 in 2077, another Lin Nan risked huge amounts of risk and tried to find a way out through the mysterious crack. She felt the distortion of the air around her and the surge of electricity, and her heart was filled with tension and uneasiness. The light in the crack became brighter and brighter, seeming to invite her. She made up her mind and stepped into the light without hesitation. In an instant, she felt her body being swallowed up by a powerful force, and everything around her became blurry, as if she was experiencing an hallucination. Then, she found herself in a completely new environment. She looked around and found that this was a vast and mysterious space, with stars twinkling and heaven and earth reflecting each other. Where is this place? Another Lin Nan was filled with doubts and curiosity. She was trying to figure out her location and time and space. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded, breaking the silence. "Welcome to the Stargate, traveler." The voice was as beautiful as the sound of nature, full of mystery and power. Another Lin Nan turned around and saw a figure appearing in front of her. This man was wearing a robe, his face was solemn and mysterious, and his eyes revealed a hint of wisdom and depth. "Who are you? What is this place?" another Lin Nan asked, her voice full of curiosity and exploration. "I am the guardian of the Stargate. I have witnessed the origin and end of the stars. You are here because you passed through the cracks in time and entered this space." The voice of the guardian of the Stargate is clear and loud. His eyes revealed a hint of mystery and awe. Another Lin Nan heard this, and his heart moved. She realized that she had arrived in a brand new interstellar space, and here she would face unprecedented challenges and tests. However, at this moment, a strong vibration suddenly came, the universe began to distort violently, stars collapsed one after another, and the entire Stargate seemed to be in a crisis of huge amounts. "This planet will be destroyed, and no one will survive." The Stargate Guardian's voice was full of heaviness and helplessness, and his eyes revealed a trace of sadness and despair. The other Lin Nan heard this and his heart tightened. She realizes that the challenge before her is far more difficult and dangerous than she imagined, and at this moment, she knows that she must use all her courage and wisdom to find hope of survival and save her own life and the lives of others. The appearance of the female Lin Nan shocked Lin Nan himself. Lin Nan looked at the woman in front of him and felt a strong shock in his heart. Her face was exactly like his own, as if it were his reflection in the mirror, but there seemed to be some subtle difference. "This is me." An indescribable emotion surged in Lin Nan's heart. As her thoughts swirled, she felt herself falling into an unprecedented confusion. The female Lin Nan smiled slightly, her eyes were clear and deep, as if she could see into people's hearts. Yes, this is your other existence and your other self. Female Lin Nan's voice was clear and sweet, full of mystery and wisdom. Lin Nan's heart was in turmoil as she tried to figure out the identity and origin of the woman in front of her. Who are you? Why are you here? Lin Nan's voice was slightly wary and confused, and she realized that the situation in front of her might be more complicated and dangerous than she imagined. The female Lin Nan smiled and shook her head slightly. I am not an independent individual, but come from another time and space, and have a special connection with you. Female Lin Nan's voice is gentle and calm, full of mystery and wisdom. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.